Grandpa is the richest man in the city, and to ensure I live as a wealthy young master forever, he didn't hesitate to spend trillions to find me 4 adopted sisters to be my wives. However, faced with such a perfect opportunity, I decisively refused. Only because in my previous life, not wanting me to be lonely, Grandpa adopted 4 sisters from an orphanage. They had loved and pampered me to the extreme since childhood, but after Grandpa passed away, all of them changed. They fell in love with the poor student I once sponsored. Not only did they give everything of mine to him, but they also locked me in the villa, forcing me to apologize to that poor student. So after being reborn, the first thing I did was agree to marry Lin Yueying, the young lady of a military family. Just as I stepped out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I received a call from Grandpa, Yanji. That girl Yueying has secretly proposed to you 88 times. She is truly sincere toward you. The women of the Lin family have always been very devoted, entrusting you to her. Makes me feel at ease. I am old now. I only hope someone can protect you. The group shares you previously distributed to the 4 sisters. I have taken them all back on my own since they are not your wives. Then holding on to those things is no longer appropriate. Hearing Grandpa's comforting words, my eyes suddenly turned red. In my previous life, he also said that the 4 adopted sisters, once they grew up, were all unsuitable to be my wives. But back then, I didn't listen. Now that I can start over, I will definitely listen to Grandpa. I will never repeat the mistakes of my past life, suppressing my emotions. I tried to make my voice sound gentler. Grandpa, I will follow everything you say. Please rest assured and recover at the Lin family nursing home. I will come to visit you during the new year. After hanging up, I returned home. Just as I reached the bedroom door, I saw Gu Jianan sitting arrogantly on my large bed. Gu Jianan is exactly that ungrateful wretch, the poor student I once sponsored in my previous life. He was loved by the 4 sisters, to the very core of their being. Right now, the 4 women known as the Haicheng F4 are gathered around Gu Jianan, the eldest sister, Jian Qingyi, currently the CEO of the Jian Group. Cold and elegant, is holding an antique pocket watch, gently pleasing Gu Jianan. The second sister, Jian Qinshui, is a gentle and dignified doctor. She is carrying a bowl of medicine, carefully testing the temperature for Gu Jianan bit by bit. The third sister, Jian Lan, is a world-famous superstar. She is full of charm, but also incredibly fickle. Right now, she is tenderly holding Gu Jianan in her arms. The fourth sister, Jian Min, is an arrogant and rebellious racer. She is making a funny face, making Gu Jianan burst into laughter. Looking at these 4 people, both familiar and strange, a heart-wrenching pain seems to stab at my lower abdomen again. Those sticky and humiliating dark nights seem to flash before my eyes. Who could have guessed it? The 4 women I once trusted and loved the most actually treated me like the lowliest plaything, pushing me into the darkest moments of my life. I gripped the phone tightly in my hand, trying to suppress the feeling of nausea in my heart. I didn't even bother to knock, and walked straight inside. The moment Gu Jianan saw me, he fearfully burrowed deeper into Jian Lan's embrace, then blurted out pitifully, "Yanji, I know this is your room. It's truly inconvenient for me to be here, but the 4 sisters kept saying this room has the best light, so they insisted that I stay here." Gu Jianan was always good at playing the victim to gain sympathy. In my previous life, because I didn't want the 4 sisters to hate me, I endured no small amount of suffering. Now that I don't even need the 4 of them anymore, why should I tolerate this Gu Jianan guy any longer? I gave a cold laugh and bluntly interrupted him. "If you know it's inappropriate, then why haven't you gotten lost yet? I am getting married soon. Others cannot stay in my house to prevent my future wife from misunderstanding." As soon as I finished, the 4th sister Jian Min immediately glared at me furiously. "Jian Yanji, do you even know how to speak? If you can't say anything nice, then shut your mouth. I think the one who should get the hell out of here is you." The second sister also looked at me with a reproachful gaze. Even the eldest sister, who was usually calm and quiet, Jian Qingyi, couldn't help but frown. "Yanji, Grandpa did tell you to choose one of us 4 sisters to marry, but none of us are psychologically prepared yet. A lifelong matter like this cannot be treated as a joke." The third sister, the movie queen, decisively supported Gu Jianan, who was shivering as they left. "Isn't it just borrowing your room for a bit? As close friends, can't you yield to Jianan just a little? If you still want us to marry you, then get rid of that spoiled brat attitude. With someone as good as Jianan here, no woman would ever choose you if it were before." When they said such harsh words, I definitely would have flown into a rage, but now I just replied calmly with an expressionless face. "I never said I was going to marry you anyway, Jian Yanji. What are you still pretending for?" The 4th sister Jian Min pointed at the array of gifts on the bookshelf. "These things that we 4 sisters casually gave to you, you cherish every single one of them like a treasure. You say you don't want to marry us? Who would believe that?" I looked in the direction Jian Min was pointing. The bookshelf was cluttered with various items. Paper cranes the 3rd sister casually folded, the fountain pen the eldest sister once used, a crystal marble gifted by the 2nd sister, and the first racing trophy the 4th sister won. There was a time when I considered these things as my very life, but now I only find them disgusting and hateful. I walked straight to the bookshelf right in front of the remaining 3 women. I reached out and grabbed the racing trophy. The moment the words ended, I swung my arm and smashed the trophy hard onto the floor. The trophy shattered into pieces in an instant. I let out a cold laugh, having absolutely no intention of stopping. I picked up the eldest sister's fountain pen and threw it away without a moment's hesitation. Next was the second sister's crystal marble. A crashing sound rang out. Shards of glass splattered everywhere. Finally, the glass jar full of the third sister's paper cranes. The jar was smashed to bits. Paper cranes scattered all over the floor. I went on to pick up the group photo of them, was about to smash it down, when suddenly the eldest sister Jian Qingyi grabbed my wrist tightly. Utter disappointment was clearly visible in her deep, cold eyes. Enough, she snatched the photo from my hand. Her voice was cold as ice. If you're so reluctant to leave this room, then you might as well just stay here. Let Jianan stay on the first floor. I took a step back, maintaining distance from the three sisters remaining in the room. Only then did I look up and stare at them. With a chilling voice, this villa was bought for me by Grandpa. I told Gu Jianan to get the hell out. If you have any objections, then get out along with him. As I spoke, I took out a wet wipe to clean the spot where Jiang Qingyi had just touched my hand. Jiang Qingyi's expression immediately darkened. She turned and walked straight out of the room without a word. Standing nearby, Jian Min didn't forget to toss a sarcastic remark before leaving, causing even the normally noble eldest sister to be speechless with anger. You really are something. I saw the second sister also shoot me a cold glance and then remained silent, slung her medicine case over her shoulder and followed them out. However, they had absolutely no idea that I wasn't intentionally trying to provoke them, but that I truly felt disgusted. Just thinking back to my previous life, when their hands caressed my entire body, I couldn't suppress the urge to vomit. After running into the bathroom and vomiting uncontrollably for a while, I immediately called the servants to replace all the furniture in the room, then went up to the rooftop room to rest. I didn't set foot downstairs for the rest of that night. Early the next morning, I took my laptop to the rooftop garden to get some fresh air. Just as I sat down, I received a call from Queen, the world's #1 luxury fashion brand. Hello, Mr. Jian. The suit you designed 3 months ago is now complete. I opened the email to check and saw the final image of that custom-made suit. I had also designed this suit in my previous life, but in the end, it was worn by Gu Jianan. While I was lost in thought, the fourth sister Jian Min suddenly walked up. The second sister and the third sister, the movie queen, followed closely behind. All three of them saw the suit on the laptop screen. Jian Min, famous for her poisonous tongue, started mocking me the moment she opened her mouth. You caused such a scene and smashed things so violently. Was it all just a hard-to-get tactic? Even the wedding suit has already been designed. Aren't you just waiting to marry us? I didn't expect to run into them here. At this hour, they should have been by his side, escorting Gu Jianan downstairs to soak up some sun, right? What bad luck? I closed the laptop, looked at the three women in front of me, and spoke bluntly. You're thinking way too much. You can go back to taking care of Gu Jianan with peace of mind. I have already agreed to the strategic marriage with the Lin family. I will never compete with him for you. Upon hearing this, the third sister Jianlan's expression changed instantly. When she spoke, she no longer had her usual indifferent look. The Lin family is a prestigious military clan. Their power is incredibly deep-rooted. Don't use them as a joke. Don't talk nonsense. When the time comes, don't make the eldest sister clean up your mess. The second sister, who had been silent, gently adjusted her glasses. She stepped forward and grabbed my hand. You've caused enough trouble already. Go downstairs and apologize to Jianan. Let our family live in harmony like before. But I suddenly shook off the second sister's hand. My face turned pale as I retreated a few steps in horror. I couldn't bear even the slightest touch from her. How ridiculous. Previously, to protect her surgical hands, I went to the trouble of having people air freight from New Zealand the finest fresh milk just so she could soak those hands. And yet, it was those very hands that personally operated to take away my kidney and snatched away my life. To this day, I still can't forget that soul-piercing pain. If you don't believe me, then so be it. I just left it at that and turned to walk straight back to my room and didn't step out even once more. That evening, I received a parcel delivered by a servant. Inside was an antique silver ring carved with a dragon and phoenix. Right then, my phone rang. It was a message from my betrothed, Lin Yueying. She explained that this ring was a Lin family heirloom reserved only for the son-in-law. To express her sincerity, I immediately placed the ring on my ring finger and took a photo to send to Lin Yueying. Well, is it beautiful? As soon as the voice message was sent, the third sister Jianlan's lazy questioning voice came from the doorway. What is beautiful? Before I could even turn around, I was tightly hugged around the waist by her from behind. She used her strength to pull me, causing us both to tumble onto the nearby sofa, right above my head. She was wearing a loose bathrobe, glimpses of her allure visible beneath her collarbones. Her hot breath carried a strong scent of alcohol. Her drunken, phoenix-like eyes were bloodshot. Her beautiful, delicate face bore a smile, but there wasn't a hint of warmth in her gaze. Whose ring is this? Take it off. The ring finger is only for wedding rings. You can't wear such messy things just because you're sulking. The woman spoke coldly. Possessiveness was clear in those eyes, something I was far too familiar with in my past life. However, in the very next moment, Jianlan suddenly pinned my arms down, bent down, and pressed a passionate kiss onto my lips. Ah, Gujianan's sharp scream echoed from the doorway. I looked up and met Gujianan's jealous face, along with the predatory glares of the other three sisters. I seized the chance to push Jianlan away. The woman now had no mind left to care about me anymore. She stood up in a panic and rushed straight toward Gujianan. Jianan, let me explain. Before she could finish her sentence, Gujianan suddenly clutched his chest and fainted right on the spot. Jianan Jianqinshui immediately rushed over to support him, helping him leave the room. Jianlan also hurriedly followed with a face full of concern. I coldly sat up from the sofa. Jianmin then aggressively stormed over, scolding me harshly to my face. Jianyanji, you clearly know Jianan likes the third sister, yet you still intentionally seduced her, daring to kiss right in front of everyone. Don't you find it disgusting? Disgusting? I suppressed the rage in my heart, staring at Jian Qingyi and Jian Min, who were still standing in the room. Of course, it's disgusting, but the ones who make me nauseous are you people. Are you all blind? Couldn't you see I was trying to push her away? This is my room. You intrude without even asking a word. Who exactly is the shameless one here? Having spoken, I didn't give them time to react. I coldly chased them all out. With a thud, the door slammed shut. I rubbed my temples, trying to regain my composure. I took out my phone to contact the middleman, deciding to put this villa up for sale. After marrying Lin Yueying, I will move to the Lin family home. I will never return to this place again. Since the four of them want to live with Gu Jianan so badly, then don't stay in my house doing such eyesore things anymore. For the next few days, the four sisters didn't come to bother me at all. If it were in the past, even if they gave me the cold shoulder for just one day, I would have definitely sought them out to apologize, hoping to mend our sibling bond. Because of that, I had to listen to many harsh words. If you apologize, act like someone who's actually sorry. If you don't know what you did wrong, then just give Jianan everything he wants. If you continue to be this stubborn, the four of us would rather stay single forever than to ever marry you. Thinking back now, I only see how foolish I used to be. If they don't need me, there are plenty of others out there yearning for me. I'd rather enjoy this peace. However, I've barely had a few days of quiet when my phone started vibrating incessantly. All were harassing messages from Gu Jianan, Jian Yanji. So what if you're a young master? Those sisters still revolve only around me. No matter the circumstances, they will always firmly stand by my side, being my strongest support. If I want to, I can snatch them from your hands at any time. Ding! Another notification sound rang out. The other side sent a photo. Gu Jianan was sitting amidst a pile of gifts. His smile looked incredibly radiant, and those gifts, from the racing trophy to the pen, cranes, and marble, they were all identical to the things I had smashed. I blankly turned off my phone screen and submitted my graduation design myself. My university major is design, and the graduation piece this time is the suit I had in Queen custom make beforehand. A week later, the Haicheng Design Academy graduation took place. I attended the evening party following the ceremony. Just as I entered the banquet hall, I saw Gu Jianan being surrounded by a crowd and the four sisters hailed like stars surrounding the moon. The eldest sister, Jian Qingyi, with eyes full of gentleness. This high-end custom suit from Queen is the latest design. There is only one like it in the world. It truly suits Jianan perfectly. The second sister, Jian Qinshui, smiled kindly. Jianan is the most radiant prince tonight. I wonder if later he'll have the honor of sharing the first dance with you. The third sister, Jianlan, lightly kissed the back of Gu Jianan's hand. Her willow leaf eyebrows arched slightly. Jianan, I want to invite you to be the lead in my next film. Are you willing? The fourth sister, Jianmin, wouldn't be outdone. Jianan, yesterday I won the race. The prize was this 30 million yuan ruby ring. Let me personally put it on for you. The F4 group, praised and pursued by all of Haicheng, the illustrious financier Jian Qingyi, the world-class doctor Jian Qinshui, the golden statue movie queen Jian Lan, and the international professional racer Jian Min were now doing everything to pamper and spoil Gu Jianan. Meanwhile, I, the one once cherished in their palms, had become the focus of sarcasm and ridicule. Before, the F4 was always around Jian Yanji. He even dared to boast that F4 would marry him. I think it's a total joke. As I see it, Jianan is the true prince. In the future, he'll surely marry one of these F4 beauties. Jianan is both generous and kind, while Jian Yanji is only arrogant and stubborn. If I were one of them, then even if Jianan made a mistake, I would unconditionally protect him to the end. I completely ignored those slanderous words. For the sake of safety, I never revealed my identity as the grandson of Haicheng's richest man, except for Gu Jianan. Everyone at school mistakenly thought that I and Gu Jianan were both poor students struggling for success. They believed that everything I had was thanks to the favoritism and pampering of the four sisters. But the truth is, all four of them were personally selected and raised from the orphanage by my grandpa. The Jian family treated them like blood relatives, providing the best resources to achieve their current status. They're treating me well. Shouldn't that have been a matter of course? At this moment, I don't even bother to explain anymore. In my past life, at this very fateful banquet, the sisters brought a new kind of wine, but unexpectedly, that bottle had been drugged. As a result, the five of us spent a day and night in debauchery. That day was also the beginning of my past life's tragedy. This time, I just want to pass through the party quietly, absolutely not touching any food or drink at this party, but little did I know. Gu Jianan, standing in the middle of the crowd enjoying the admiring gazes of everyone around him, suddenly walked straight toward me. He handed me a glass of wine and said with a smile, "Yanji, don't listen to those random rumors. I know your four sisters love you most in the world. Congratulations on your graduation." I didn't take the glass at all, but instead took a step back. I don't know how to drink. Having said that, I brushed Gu Jianan aside and turned back toward the lounge. From behind me, I heard Jian Min's angry shouting, "What an ungrateful brat!" I didn't bother to care about those words. I chose to avoid everything, so I'd never have to walk that painful path again. But within minutes of entering the lounge, a familiar searing heat suddenly surged from my lower abdomen. My heart suddenly clenched violently. Even in death, I would never be able to forget this feeling. In my past life, to make me serve them more, the four sisters drugged me on many occasions. Every time the drug took effect, I would turn into someone completely devoid of shame, knowing only how to kneel at their feet and beg for pleasure. Today, I clearly haven't touched a single thing. Why? Why have I still fallen into the trap? I frantically pulled out my phone. With trembling hands, I immediately dialed 110. Just after finishing the report to the police, the lounge door was suddenly kicked open with extreme force. I looked up. Everything was unfolding just like a replay of my past life. All four sisters were slowly advancing toward me. I retreated far back in terror. My legs couldn't stop shaking uncontrollably. "Who gave you permission to come in here? Get out now!" Jian Min immediately rushed forward and snapped irritably. "Didn't you insistently message us to come here yourself?" The other three also closed in on me. "I didn't do that. Don't you dare step any closer." I was backed into a corner with no way out, only able to huddle against the wall, shivering. In a moment of delusion, I seemed to see the images of my past life again, when the four of them took turns tormenting my body and freely vented all of their desires. "Don't come near me. Don't." Under the terrible effect of that drug, my face was flushed as if I were drunk. Tears already welled up in my eyes. The dim light shone upon my pale and delicate face. I bit my lips tightly. The corners of my eyes were tinged with red, exuding a strangely captivating allure. The gazes of all four of them suddenly turned dark and full of lust. Not a single one of them had any intention of backing down. Step by step, they crept closer and closer, trapping me within their circle. The third sister, Jianlan, squatted down before me. She grabbed a lock of my hair and brought it to her nose, inhaling with great pleasure. "Wasn't it you who called us here? Now that we're here, what kind of cat and mouse game are you still playing? Is this hard to get?" All four of them exchanged glances. Intense possessiveness was clear in their eyes. Their images gradually overlapped with the brutal visions of my past life. I tried my best to find an escape route, but my body was no longer obeying my mind. Why? I was clearly only one step away from escaping the tragic end of my previous life. The fingers of the four of them began to caress my waist, right at the moment when I was almost entirely in despair. Bam! The room door was burst open. From the corner of my eye, I saw police officers rushing toward me. 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. "Hurry, please, just a little bit faster." The moment the police helped me up, I could finally faint in peace. Finally, I'm saved. I will absolutely not let myself meet the same end as in my past life. Never again. When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital. My 4 adopted sisters were all surrounding me. The eldest sister, Jian Qingyi, handed me a glass of water, a rare moment of gentle concern. "It's good that you've woken up. Is there anywhere else you feel unwell? Have some water." I was a bit dazed. It had been so long since I felt any care in my eldest sister's eyes. The other 3 looked at each other. They also nodded in agreement. "It's good that you're okay." Whether they truly cared or were just being perfunctory, I didn't even bother to care. I quietly took a sip of water, then I heard Jian Qingyi speak. "Now that you're all right, go ahead and drop the charges at the police station. Nuna knows you're the most sensible one." The second sister, Jian Qinshui, immediately chimed in. There was aphrodisiac incense burning in the lounge. The police investigation found that Jianan did it, but he was also set up. "Nuna believes he wouldn't harm you." The other 2 also joined in to persuade me, telling me to let Gu Jianan go, as if they were afraid he'd get even a scratch. I gripped the glass tightly, struggling to suppress my rage. In this life, I didn't drink any alcohol, which is why the aphrodisiac incense appeared. So, all that alcohol I drank in my past life, was it also Gu Jianan pulling the strings behind the scenes? Is it possible the source of my suffering throughout both my lives was Gu Jianan all along? Every time I thought about it, I trembled with pure fury. Every word I spat out was through gritted teeth. Seeing me like that, the 4 of them angrily waved their hands and left. From then on, not a single person came to visit me in the hospital. I spent 3 days recovering in the hospital alone, eating nothing but hospital patient meals. Early that morning, just as I was lifting a spoonful of porridge to my mouth, the hospital room door was pushed open. Gu Jianan walked in, his leather shoes clicking on the floor. His face was filled with smug satisfaction. "Jian Yanji, are you surprised to see me? So what if you know I set you up? With your 4 adopted sisters protecting me, I'm still perfectly safe and sound, aren't I?" I didn't intend to care, but I caught a glimpse of Gu Jianan pulling his collar. The exquisite ancient dragon phoenix silver ring on his finger was a total eyesore. My expression darkened instantly. I looked down. The ring on my ring finger had indeed disappeared. Anger flared up in my heart. I bolted out of bed, glaring at Gu Jianan with fury. "Who gave you permission to wear this ring? Take it off now." Gu Jianan not only didn't take it off, but smugly raised his hand. I just happened to say I liked it, and to my surprise, the second sister gave this ring to me right away. I didn't bother listening to his bragging and reached out to snatch it back. Unexpectedly, before I could even touch Gu Jianan, he took the opportunity to throw himself onto the ground. Jianmin rushed in, shoving me hard to the side. She meticulously shielded Gu Jianan, not caring one bit that I was pushed so hard I hit my head. Gu Jianan, who was so arrogant just moments ago, was now cowering in Jianmin's arms, wiping away his tears pitifully. "I'm sorry, Yanji. The second sister gave this ring to me. I just thought it was pretty and wanted to wear it for fun. Not that I intended to steal your thing. Please don't hit me. I'm so scared." Jianmin immediately took the ring off and threw it straight at me. "Just for this worthless ring, you dare lay a hand on Jianan? How could you be so cruel?" I didn't bother arguing. I quickly picked up the ring, carefully wiping off the dirt clinging to it. The second sister standing at the door also dropped her usual smile. "That ring looks so filthy. Is it really that important? You just love making a mountain out of a molehill lately, without even caring about your own health. Come over here and put some medicine on." I looked up and screamed at the 3 of them, "Get the hell out of here!" Jianmin's face turned purple with rage from my shouting, leading away Gu Jianan, who was secretly gloating. The second sister didn't even glance at me on the floor, turning her back and walking away coldly. Once they were gone, I closed the door, without a single trace of sadness on my face. Only those I care about can hurt me. In this life, I only wish to sever all ties with them. Another night passed. I was discharged. However, all along the way, people were pointing at me. I had a bad feeling. I hurriedly opened my phone. My name was sitting prominently on the hot search. Haicheng Design Academy, heartthrob Jian Yanji, accused of plagiarism, plagiarizing the graduation design of his good brother, Gu Jianan. Poor Gu Jianan. The plagiarism storm. This also exploded in my past life. Back then, I was held under house arrest in the villa by my 4 sisters. They used my account to apologize and admit fault. My reputation in Haicheng was completely ruined. I took a deep breath and clicked on the hot search. It was exactly like my past life. This time, all 4 of my adopted sisters were also unconditionally standing up to support Gu Jianan. I watched the 3 videos that were going viral online. At the Jian Group headquarters, eldest sister Jian Qingyi faced the media lenses, her tone extremely serious. "Gu Jianan is the outstanding talent that Jian Group values. I believe he would never commit plagiarism." At the new movie press conference, the 3rd sister, the movie queen, personally invited Gu Jianan on stage. I saw that the second sister was also with him. The 2 of them held Gu Jianan's hands on both sides, proclaiming loudly to everyone, "Gu Jianan absolutely did not plagiarize. I've always believed Jianan is a kind and pure soul." On the racetrack, the 4th sister Jian Min drove a supercar, with the words "Gu Jianan would not plagiarize" printed on the car. The entire F4 of the wealthiest family in Haicheng supported Gu Jianan. In an instant, public opinion shifted entirely to one side. I became a street rat that everyone despised. What design academy heartthrob? Jian Yanji is actually just a poor student hungry for fame. I bet he plagiarized Gu Jianan for that $5 million prize. No wonder the F4 sisters don't care about him anymore. He's just an empty shell. Unlike Gu Jianan, who is a true scholar of renown. I stared at the screen. The humiliation from my past life came flooding back vividly. Having been reborn, I was prepared from the start. I immediately returned to the villa, found the original manuscript, and posted a clarification on Weibo, making the entire design and creative concept public, explaining every single source of inspiration in detail. At the end, I left a short but powerful sentence. "I, Jian Yanji, will absolutely never plagiarize." This clarification quickly grabbed public attention. However, only 3 minutes later, the Weibo page suddenly crashed. My clarification disappeared without a trace. Then the eldest sister Jian Qingyi called, "Yanji, let's just leave this plagiarism matter here. Jianan is in poor health. Nuna doesn't want him to get agitated." The voice on the other end was indifferent, as if this were just a trivial matter not worth mentioning. I clenched my left hand, nails digging deep into my skin. "So, did you order someone to delete my clarification?" The voice on the phone was extremely calm. "I took down the hot search because..." Before she could finish her sentence, I angrily cut her off. What right do you have to take down the hot search? It's clear that Gu Jianan plagiarized my work. Why should I be the one to face the consequences? The other side replied indifferently. It's not like you're short on that bit of money. Netizens are just watching for entertainment anyway. Don't worry, this will blow over quickly. I laughed at those shameless words. Is this about money? Once a designer is labeled a plagiarist, how can they ever stand their ground in the industry again? But the words from the other side were still extremely overbearing. You are the young master of the Jian family. Even if you don't work in the future, you'll still be well-fed and well-clothed for life. But if Jianan is branded a plagiarist, the entire industry will boycott him. He's just a poor student. How will he survive later? This matter is settled then. Don't bring it up ever again. With that, Jian Qingyi hung up the phone. I was so angry my chest tightened in pain. Having lived through 2 lifetimes, I was betrayed by them without a moment's hesitation both times. I'm truly beyond disappointed. I recalled not too long ago, after agreeing to the engagement, Grandpa verified the Jian family Young Master Weibo account for me. I immediately logged into Weibo using that official account and posted a status. It instantly climbed straight to the hot search. I, Jian Yanji, am the sole heir to the wealthiest family in Haicheng. There's no need for me to plagiarize for money. Just one sentence caused a massive tremor. I continued using that account to post all the original manuscripts, even attaching the official correspondence history regarding a high-end order with McQueen from 3 months ago. The luxury fashion house McQueen is a design brand with the highest reputation in the world. They never facilitate any form of forgery. The discussion jumped to the #1 spot. Gu Jianan was nailed to the pillar of shame. Netizens swarmed his profile to rain down insults. This is truly disgusting. What kind of tricks did this green tea guy use to make the F4 sisters protect him instead of the young master? Protecting a trash like you? Who knows if Gu Jianan behind the scenes has already climbed into all 4 of their beds and become their shared plaything. I've got money too. How about letting me play along? The official account verified by Grandpa himself made it so that no one could take down the hot search. The post hadn't even been up for half an hour when the 4 sisters who hadn't visited the villa in forever all came looking for me. The 3rd sister, the movie queen, approached me, lowering her voice to coax me, just like she used to do when I was little. Yanji, now that you've vented your anger, please delete that post, okay? She reached out to brush a stray lock of hair from my face, but I coldly brushed her hand away. I looked at the 4 people standing before me. Now that each of them is successful and famous, they must have forgotten where all of this came from. I curled my lip in a sarcastic smirk. Only now you find your way back to me? When I was branded with that filthy title of plagiarist, what did you all do? Every single one of you stood up to back Gu Jianan. You must have forgotten everything. That Grandpa raised you all back then, hoping you would protect me. Not only did you fail to protect me, but you repeatedly hurt me for the sake of an outsider. Do you really think I'll delete the post? Seeing me bring up Grandpa to apply pressure, the faces of all 4 of them darkened. Jian Min was the most hot-headed. Isn't it because you're annoyed with Jianan, fearing hell steal us away from you? Fine, we'll marry you now, is that enough? Hearing her condescending words, I laughed coldly. No need. I no longer want to marry any of you. Seemingly not expecting such a blunt rejection, the 4 of them looked even more displeased. It was as if they were furious, that they had already humored me by lowering themselves, yet I still maintained this haughty attitude and stubbornly refused to let it go. The 3rd sister, the movie queen, rubbed her brow and tried to advise me once more. Behave yourself a bit. I know you want to marry the 4 of us. Just pick any one of us you want right now. Whoever you choose will agree, just as long as you delete that Weibo post. Jian Qingyi also stated her position, approaching me and speaking in a softened tone. As long as you delete that Weibo post, we can hold the wedding with you as early as next week. I coldly refused. No need, I already have a wife. She is Lin Yueying. Lin Yueying loves me very much. She has secretly confessed to me 88 times. But before, I always thought that in the future, I could only marry one of the 4 of you. That's why I never told you about her feelings for me. At this, the 4 of them looked at each other. It was clear that not a single one of them believed my words. Jian Min let out a contemptuous sneer. Lin Yueying comes from a prestigious military family. Their family discipline is extremely strict. I'm not trying to belittle you, but they want a humble and refined son-in-law, not some arrogant young master like you. If you truly can't choose one, then the 4 of us can all marry you at the same time. I glanced around. To my surprise, the other 3 implicitly agreed with Jian Min. I couldn't have imagined that to save Gu Jianan's reputation, they would be willing to compromise to such an unthinkable degree. I was reborn and reused my graduation design from my previous life, not to forgive Gu Jianan, but to give him a taste of his own medicine. Just as I was about to refuse, Gu Jianan rushed in from outside. He wailed miserably, kneeling to beg for forgiveness. Yanji, I really didn't know that was your graduation design. I just happened to see it at the 4th sister's place and got inspired, so I just borrowed the idea a little bit. I beg you, please forgive me this once. I'm just a poor student from a remote mountain area. I worked so hard to get to where I am today. If this reputation is lost, then my whole life is over. I have no family left. If I have to return to my hometown, it'll surely be sold by the villagers to some old widows in their 60s or 70s. The four of them watched Gujianan cry so pitifully, and their hearts couldn't help but ache for him. As for me, I just stood there coldly observing from beginning to end. The fourth sister, Jianmin, was the first to lose her cool. She stepped forward to help Gujianan up from the floor, glancing at me. Before leaving, she left one final sentence. Don't bother begging him. Don't worry. Even if your reputation is ruined, Nuna will take care of you for the rest of your life. I didn't care at all about what Jianmin said. Jian Qingyi, standing nearby, also made a promise. You've truly been spoiled rotten. I smirked. I am the grandson of the wealthiest man, the sole heir of the Jun family. Even if I'm a bit arrogant, it's only natural. Eldest sister, you find me so eyesore? Is it because Gujianan's orphan status makes you particularly soft-hearted? The word orphan struck a chord with all of them. Weren't the four of them also taken in by Grandpa Jian, from an orphanage to be raised? The face of Jian Qingyi, usually so noble and cold, was now turning purple with rage. She turned and walked away coldly. The second sister also shook her head slightly. You've truly disappointed Nuna too much. The third sister, the movie queen, also withdrew her usual worldly smile, indifferently dropping a sentence. You've changed so much that I no longer recognize you. They left one after another. I stared at their retreating backs, mocking myself. Is that so? Yet, regarding my tragic life in the previous world, shouldn't I be the one feeling disappointed? Now I've only spoken a few honest words and they've already put on those faces. How ridiculous. I didn't bother concerning myself with these matters anymore. My wedding with Lin Yueying is coming soon. I have to choose a truly meaningful gift for her. Necklaces, rings, earrings, brooches. I compared luxury brands one by one. Choosing from early morning until late at night, I finally found the perfect gift. Just as I was about to pay, I received a provocative message from Gujianan. Jian Yanji, so what if you don't delete the post? The four of them want to make it up to me, so they'll all marry me at the same time on New Year's Eve. Right after that, a photo of a wedding invitation was sent. On that wedding invitation, one groom and 4 brides. I casually scrolled through my feed. Gujianan had indeed posted the wedding invitation there. I sneered and hit like, commenting, wishing you all 100 years of happiness, stay locked together. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, the fourth sister Jianmin called. The voice on the other end was full of triumph, as if she'd been waiting just to talk to me. Jian Yanji, do you realize your mistake yet? Just apologize to Jianan, and we'll cancel this wedding. I gave a cold laugh. I am not in the wrong. Why should I apologize? If you value Gujianan so much and despise an arrogant young master like me, then I have no business trying to squeeze into your circle. The moment I finished speaking, the recording of the other 3 sisters was played from the other end. Jian Min was furious, leaving only one sentence before hanging up. You better not regret this. I will absolutely not regret it. In this life, I finally escaped the tragic fate of my past life. I only hope to stay as far away from the 4 of them as possible. I turned off the phone and had a peaceful night's sleep. The next morning, I was woken up by my ringtone. It was Grandpa calling. Yanji, I've seen everything on the internet. I can't believe I've raised 4 such ungrateful people all these years. I will immediately issue an order to revoke all their privileges. Even through the phone, I could feel Grandpa's wrath. Worried this would affect his health, I hurriedly spoke in a gentle voice to comfort him. Grandpa, please don't be angry anymore. I no longer have any feelings left for them. Besides, I already have Lin Yueying. Didn't you say before that she would be the one to protect me from now on? Only then did Grandpa's anger subside a little. Your wedding with Lin Yueying is set for next week, right on New Year's Eve. Use this time to prepare well, okay? Yes, Grandpa. Goodbye. I then received a message from the real estate agent. I scrolled through their messages and gave a faint smile. I sat up in bed, went downstairs, and instructed the servants. Clean out every single item belonging to those 4 sisters from the villa. Then I lit a fire and burned it all right in the middle of the yard. I even called for an excavator to uproot all the crabapple trees in the garden. These crabapple trees were memories from the day those 4 sisters first entered my home when I was 10, and they planted them with me. They had witnessed years of deep affection, but now they were just an eyesore to me. I wanted to tear them out by the roots, just as I was thoroughly casting those 4 out of my heart. Once everything was cleared away, the villa felt brand new. It was incredibly empty. I was just about to take a nap when Jianmin's interrogation echoed from the door. Where did the crabapple trees in the yard go? Why has everything been dug up like this? I turned around to see Jianmin walking toward me. She glanced past me. I thought she was about to explode in a rage, but instead she nonchalantly remarked, "It's a good thing Jianan doesn't like crabapple flowers. Let's plant pure lilies everywhere from now on. Jianan loves those flowers." I curled my lip. Sarcastically, I said, "Since you and Gujianan will be family soon, feel free to plant whatever you like." Jianmin suddenly froze, seemingly unable to believe I would say that. Her gaze toward me became incredibly complicated. Then she added awkwardly, "It would have been better if you had thought this way sooner." The moment she finished speaking, my phone started ringing. The phone rang repeatedly. It was the wedding planner arranged by Len Yueying. "Mr. Jian, the floor plan and schedule for the wedding next week have already been sent to your inbox. Please check if any adjustments are needed." I didn't even bother opening the email, replying directly. "You can arrange everything yourselves. I trust you completely." The phone's volume wasn't low, so Jianmin standing nearby heard every word clearly. She gave a sarcastic, mocking laugh and spoke smugly. "Surely it's not because you knew about our wedding, with Jianan taking place next week. So you're deliberately staging a wedding at the same time, planning to use that old bride-stealing trick, are you? Jian Yanji, since you did wrong, you must be punished. It's too late for regrets now. We promise to give Jianan a unique, one-of-a-kind wedding, and not one of the four of us can be stolen by you." I only gave a gentle smile, looking at her calmly. "I know deep down you all love Gu Jianan. Rest assured, I will never go and steal a wedding from him. I already have my own wife. I won't be marrying any of the four of you anymore. I have found my true harbor." But Jianmin clearly didn't believe a single word. She pulled her phone out of her leather jacket pocket. In front of me, she made a video call to the other three sisters to start the call. "Do you all know? Jian Yanji intentionally scheduled his wedding a week later, just to steal us away from Jianan's side." With that, she pointed her phone screen toward me. I simply appeared within the frame of the call. I saw that the other three sisters had set aside their work to stay by Gu Jianan's side. Jian Qingyi glanced at me, her brows furrowing slightly. "Once we've decided, we won't change our minds." The smile in the second sister's eyes suddenly turned cold. "Don't waste your energy in vain." As for the third Nuna, the movie queen, she turned to comfort Gu Jianan. "Jianan, don't worry, we won't let him take us away." Every single word of theirs felt like it was piercing through my very soul, yet I kept a smile on my lips. "Rest assured, all of you, I have my own wedding, and I definitely won't be stealing any brides." Having said that, I abruptly ended the video call. I really didn't want to see those faces lingering before my eyes anymore. Jian Min pulled her phone back, seeing how stubborn and difficult I was being, so she didn't want to stay long, only throwing me a warning look. "Jianan likes this house, so we will let Jianan set off, from this villa to the wedding venue. Don't you dare ruin it." I didn't respond. "On the wedding day, this house will also be handed over." She should save those words for the actual owner. Time passed by so quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was New Year's Eve. Both my wedding and Gu Jianan's were taking place on this day. Early in the morning, I carried my luggage downstairs, only to run straight into Gu Jianan, who was wearing a high-end tailored suit. That suit had a perfect silhouette, with diamonds even set on the buttons, both elegant and high class. It was actually my very own graduation design. Gu Jianan glanced at me in my shirt and trousers and flashed a triumphant smile. "You're having a wedding today too, right? Why aren't you wearing a high-end suit? Do you think throwing a tantrum and leaving home with your luggage will win the four of them back? Let me tell you, keep dreaming. This wedding will be entirely live-streamed, and I will be the most handsome groom for all four of them." I didn't even bother with him, only replying indifferently, "Then I wish you happiness. I hope the five of you never bother me again in this lifetime." I carried my suitcase out to the yard. As soon as I looked up, I saw the four sisters in their wedding dresses. Jian Qingyi wore a pure white mermaid wedding gown, her face beautiful and her aura cold. The second sister wore a pink spaghetti strap ball gown paired with a princess hairstyle, exuding the gentle and elegant grace of a young lady. The movie queen's satin silk wedding dress was incredibly exquisite, with a plunging neckline subtly showing off her seductive charm. Jian Min wore a custom-made wide-flared wedding dress, highlighting her haughty and reckless nature. The four of them were stunned when they saw me carrying my luggage. They stopped dead in their tracks. They looked at each other, a flash of panic crossing their eyes, and then asked in unison, "Where are you going?" The movie queen even stepped forward to grab my hand, but I pulled away, saying with a calm face, to attend my wedding. The four of them, who were worried, heard this and let out a sigh of relief. Their relaxed demeanor suggested they were certain I was just playing hard to get. Jian Qingyi took a few steps forward, looking at me with a stern gaze. "As long as you don't target Jianan anymore, and live harmoniously with him, then we will fulfill our promise to grandfather to marry you and register our marriage with you." The others followed suit one by one. "As long as you accept Jianan, we will be the happiest family." Today is New Year's Eve. If you are truly remorseful, then stay home and prepare the New Year's Eve dinner well. Wait until after the wedding ends and we will celebrate the new year together. I kept smiling. "I've made myself very clear. I'm also getting married today. From this day forward, every future new year will have nothing to do with you." Having spoken, I ignored the darkening faces of the four sisters and walked straight to the large lawn outside the villa. Seeing that they couldn't persuade me, they stopped caring about Jianyanji and cherished Gu Jianan like a treasure as they led him to the wedding car. Just then, roaring sounds echoed from overhead. Dozens of helicopters bearing the Line family emblem landed on the lawn one after another. Under everyone's stunned gazes, 2 squads of soldiers in highest-ranking ceremonial uniforms marched toward me in perfect formation. They saluted and shouted loudly, "We are acting on the orders of Commander Lin Yueying to escort groom Jianyanji to the wedding ceremony." Those dozens of helicopters and the array of soldiers truly terrified everyone present. As the helicopters ascended higher and higher, the faces of the 4 below showed clear confusion. Just as they were about to give chase, Gu Jianan in his suit blocked the path of the 4 with an incredibly pitiful tone. "Eldest Nuna, second Nuna, third Nuna, fourth Nuna. I didn't expect Yanji to act so convincingly, just to steal you away from me. I've never heard of a wedding where the bride doesn't show up. He must have spent a lot of money to hire actors." The sisters, who were in a hurry to leave, paused upon hearing Gu Jianan's words, though a trace of doubt still remained in their hearts. Because the Line family isn't a name anyone would dare to joke with. Gu Jianan, with tears in his eyes, added further, "Even an insignificant person like me knows that you cannot mess with the Line family. Yanji intentionally found people to act, but once the Line family is offended, he has the Jian family to protect him. But what about me? He just wants to ruin our wedding and turn me into a laughingstock for all of Haicheng. That way, when I'm left all alone, he'll have no way to survive in Haicheng anymore. He truly wants to destroy me." Hearing this, the doubt in their hearts vanished, and they all frowned in anger. Jianmin straightened the hem of her wedding dress and spoke up irritably. "We were almost fooled by Jianyanji. How could his heart be so malicious?" Seeing that he had convinced the 4, Gu Jianan blinked his deer-like eyes and lowered his head, looking aggrieved. "Besides you all, I have nothing. I'm not like Yanji, the young master of the Jian family. He can live a life of luxury no matter what. He can do whatever he wants, while my every step is incredibly difficult. If I lose you all, I don't know how he'll keep on living." Almost instantly, Gu Jianan's eyes filled with tears. Seeing him like this, they felt deep pity for him and stepped forward one by one to comfort him. The movie queen pulled him into her arms to soothe him. "Don't worry, none of us will abandon you. Stop crying. You'll ruin your makeup in a moment." The second sister took a silk handkerchief from her pocket and gently wiped away his tears. "We promise to give you a very special wedding, and we certainly won't break our word." Jian Min quickly chimed in, "That's right. Today is our wedding. You are the most handsome groom, the treasure of us 4. We love you more than words can say. How could we possibly abandon you? Don't you agree, Nuna?" Eldest sister Jian Qingyi, always stern and calm, also nodded in comfort. "Indeed, we won't leave our most handsome groom behind. The wedding will proceed as planned." After speaking, the 4 of them led Gu Jianan into the stretch Rolls-Royce. Seeing his jealousy, the women crowded around to coax him like a child. Gu Jianan finally stopped crying, though his voice remained a bit choked up. "It's so good to have you all." Seeing Gu Jianan smile again, the 4 of them were finally at ease. Jian Min quickly replied, "Of course. Today, you will be the man that all of Haicheng envies." The F4 quartet of Haicheng marrying one man at the same time is truly the center of attention, especially since the groom is Gu Jianan, who was just involved in a plagiarism scandal a few days ago. This undoubtedly drew a massive crowd of netizens to watch. The number of people in the livestream room skyrocketed, comments scrolling by incessantly. "I told you, this poor student has some tricks up his sleeve. He can make these 4 women spin around him. Hey, if Jian Yanji is the young master, then what is the true identity of the F4? Whatever it is, they are truly blind. To abandon a fine young master like Jian Yanji just to praise that poor plagiarizing student." Gu Jianan was sitting in the car, expecting many people to admire him, but 9 out of 10 comments were insulting him. His face immediately darkened. The movie queen sitting next to him noticed instantly. She reached out to cover his eyes. "Don't look at the negative news in this livestream room anymore. You must be the happiest groom today." Jian Qingyi gestured, and the staff immediately cut the livestream. Just as they were about to turn off the large screen in the car, they saw a comment like this: "I don't think Jian Yanji is acting at all. Those are definitely Lin family helicopters. The entire group is wearing highest-ranked ceremonial uniforms. How could they possibly be helping someone put on a play?" The movie queen's expression suddenly hardened. She and the other 3 looked at each other. It was clear they had all seen that comment. Though they claimed not to believe Jian Yanji, an irrepressible sense of unease began to rise in their hearts. For a moment, everyone in the car fell silent. Lately, Jian Yanji truly seemed to have become very distant from them. In the past, if I made them unhappy, I would certainly apologize immediately and find every way to coax them. No matter what they told me to do, I was always willing. I would set aside my ego and young master's temper, just hoping the 4 of them would look at me again. Yet over the past month, my behavior has been incredibly different. Not only did I not apologize, but I didn't even bother to contact them proactively. The more Jianmin thought, the more she felt something was wrong. She spoke up with a bit of panic. Eldest Nuna, do you think those helicopters really are? Before she could finish, she was interrupted by Gu Jianan. Gu Jianan, with his eyes covered by the movie queen, hadn't seen the comment and asked curiously, "What's wrong? What about the helicopters?" Jianmin quickly waved her hand. "Nothing. It's nothing. Jianan, you worked hard waking up early today. Rest for a bit in the car. There's a lot to take care of at the wedding later." Gu Jianan looked at Jianmin's behavior. She was clearly hiding something from him. No matter what, today's wedding must be a success. He couldn't let these people go looking for Jian Yanji. He spoke up, pretending to hesitate. "Actually, I overheard something last night. Yanji called his grandfather. He asked his grandfather to arrange the helicopters. He even threatened me not to tell you all, otherwise he'd kick me out of the villa." Having said that, tears immediately reddened his eyes. Jian Min was the first to react upon hearing this. "I told you a military family like the Lins could never play along with Jian Yanji's antics. It turns out grandfather stepped in to help. As expected, he's still as arrogant and impulsive as ever, setting up so many tricks, just to get us to abandon Jianan and look for him. Jianan, don't you worry. We definitely won't let him have his way. Only when he knows how to apologize and admit his fault to you, will we consider whether to live with him again." The others in the car were also clearly convinced that the helicopters were called by grandfather. The anxiety in their hearts eased somewhat, and they devoted themselves to caring for Gu Jianan all the way. At this moment, in the most premium banquet hall of Wunding Villa, a massive crystal fountain in the center was slowly flowing, blending with melodic symphonic music. The red carpet outside stretched deep into the hall, flanked by vibrant beds of flowers on both sides, looking just like a fairy tale wedding hall. The helicopter landed right in the middle of the red carpet. An indescribable nervousness suddenly surged in my heart. Previously, only the four sisters occupied my heart, so I never paid attention to Lin Yueying's private confessions. For this meeting, I seemed to feel a bit restless and anxious. During the days I didn't see her, I often heard elders mention her, clearly identifying her as the most outstanding of this generation. When grandfather called me, his mention of Lin Yueying was also full of utmost praise. I took out the brooch I had chosen for Lin Yueying, then stood before the mirror to meticulously check my appearance. After confirming everything was in order, I finally stepped off the helicopter. 2 hours later, my four sisters and Gu Jianan also arrived at Wunding Villa. The helicopters parked on the open ground of Wunding Villa were extremely prominent. The group recognized them immediately upon stepping out of the car. Jianmin curled her lip mockingly. "It's true that Jian Yanji only wants to ruin our wedding with Jianan." The other three also clearly believed that the appearance of Jian Yanji at Wunding Villa was all part of a plan. He claimed he was marrying someone else to scare them, but in reality, he couldn't let them go and was playing hard to get, wanting them to cancel the wedding with Jianan. Gu Jianan clutched the hem of his wedding attire, looking like a frightened little rabbit, his eyes instantly turning red. "Eldest Nuna, second Nuna, third Nuna, fourth Nuna, is Yanji planning to steal the brides? If he tries to make a scene during our wedding later, what should we do? He's a pampered young master who knows what terrible schemes he'll use. I'm so scared I won't get to marry you four." Hearing this, the sisters standing by him immediately changed their expressions. Jian Min was the first to speak before everyone. "Jianan, rest assured, even if the sky falls today, we will still marry you." The second sister, who had been silent, also offered gentle comfort. "We promise to give you the most special wedding, and we keep our promises. We absolutely won't let anything else affect it." The movie queen gently pinched Gu Jianan's nose, raising her brows with a smile. "How could we let today's most handsome groom be disappointed?" Eldest sister Jian Qing's expression remained calm. "Don't worry, every part of the wedding ceremony has been arranged. I will send people to keep a close watch. I won't let our most handsome groom down." Eldest sister Jian Qing's face was still perfectly composed. "Rest assured, all wedding procedures are in place. He'll have people on guard, definitely ensuring no mistakes occur." Their assurance acted like a sedative for Gu Jianan. He felt secretly smug. The wedding for them and Gu Jianan was held at the high-end banquet hall of Wunding Villa, right next to my first-class banquet hall. Both halls were very luxurious, but the high-end hall naturally couldn't compare to the first-class one, like the diamond fountain in the center, which the high-end hall lacked. Gu Jianan's gaze sank. He tugged at the movie queen's sleeve and pouted. "Nuna, that fountain is so beautiful. Can our wedding be held in that first-class hall over there?" The movie queen was also a bit curious. The eldest sister was in charge of arranging the venue. It should have been the highest standard. Why wasn't the first-class hall booked? She spoke up. "Eldest Nuna, Jianan wants to switch to the first-class hall. Can you see if we can negotiate a bit?" Jiang Qingyi frowned and replied in a low voice. "When I contacted them, the manager of Wunding Villa said the first-class hall isn't open to outside guests." Jian Min, being hot-headed, immediately grabbed a nearby staff member. "Can we switch to the first-class hall? We're willing to pay any amount." The staff member was clearly taken aback by being pulled, but reacted quickly. Miss, I am very sorry, I cannot help you switch. The first-class hall is not for outside guests. Jianmin looked at the helicopters parked on the open ground outside, guessing that I had booked the whole place. She spoke disdainfully. Don't tell me it's not open to outside guests. Isn't an outsider booking it right now? Tell your boss we will pay 10 times the price. Our wedding today must be held in the first-class hall. Having said that, Jianmin, regardless of the staff's consent, dragged Gu Jianan straight to the first-class hall entrance. Just as she was about to enter, she was stopped by the security team. Forgive us, miss, but you cannot enter without an invitation. Jianmin flared up in anger. Believe it or not, with just one phone call, the people inside will beg me to enter. The moment she finished, I, who was in the dressing room, stepped out. I was dressed in a high-end suit, my shirt and trousers perfectly pressed without a single wrinkle. With my buttons fastened to the very top, I exuded an air of nobility, looking just like a medieval prince. From the first moment she saw me, Jianmin completely forgot her anger, a profound emotion welling up in her eyes. When the other three saw me in the suit, they too were momentarily stunned. They stared at me, their eyes unhidden with burning desire. The movie queen stepped forward to grab my hand, but was blocked by security. She watched me without blinking, her throat tightening instinctively, her voice raspy. Yanji, stop acting like a child. We're only having a wedding with Jianan. We're not registering it. Today, this first-class banquet hall, you should yield it to Jianan. We won't pursue the Weibo matter anymore. The second sister followed suit, her gaze toward me softening further. Exactly. Just give the hall to Jianan, and we'll act as if the past never happened. Our whole family can still live happily together. In eldest sister Jian Qingya's usually cold eyes, there now surged a spark of desire that even she didn't realize. She spoke, her voice slightly husky. You've caused enough trouble these past few days. Be good and go home first. We'll come keep you company once we finish the ceremony with Jianan. I looked at the people before me, my lips curling into a mocking smile. Even now, they haven't paid any attention to my words, assuming I'm just sulking. I calmly spoke up. I've already said, I came here to get married. This is my wedding venue. Why should I yield it? As soon as I finished, Gu Jianan questioned, his eyes full of innocence. Yanji, you say you're here to marry, but why don't I see a bride anywhere? Can one marry alone, or are you still planning to steal the brides? I'd had enough of Gu Jianan's White Lotus act, so I spoke up irritably. I said I have my own wife. The 5 of you can do as you please. Just don't come here to bother me. I don't want my wife to see and misunderstand. Gu Jianan looked around, then blinked and said, Yanji, you've been talking, but why is your wife still nowhere to be seen? The 4 sisters also searched around, and indeed there was no sign of a bride. They were convinced Jian Yanji was intentionally causing trouble. Jian Qingyi looked at her watch, speaking again in an extremely serious tone. Yanji, stop being stubborn. The auspicious hour for my wedding with Jianan is near. Yield this first-class hall so we can hold the ceremony. You'll have someone take you back to the villa. Hearing that the auspicious hour was coming, the second sister's gentle tone became urgent. These little tricks aren't interesting anymore when used repeatedly. I retorted bluntly. Who has time for tricks with you? I told you I have a wife. My wife is Lin Yueying. With that, I directly ordered security to remove them. These 5 are not allowed near the hall today. Expel whoever approaches. Understood, young master. The security team took the order and immediately sprang into action. Jianmin's anger surged straight to her brain. A military clan like the Lin family, how could they ever favor an arrogant young master like you? On the contrary, it's you don't stay here and ruin our wedding with Jianan. Get lost and go home already. Just as she finished speaking, from behind Jianmin, a majestic and powerful voice rang out. I think the ones who should get lost are you lot. Lin Yueying stepped out of the car with her long, slender legs. The woman's features were incredibly exquisite. Her gaze was cold and her aura was steady and composed. She wore a layered tulle wedding dress embroidered with delicate roses. Her elegant neck and snow-white skin were faintly visible beneath the thin veil. She looked like a mesmerizing spirit who had descended to the mortal realm. Upon her head sat an antique crown from the last century, noble and elegant. She walked past Jian Yanji's 4 adopted sisters and Gu Jianan, heading straight toward me. Lin Yueying looked at me tenderly. I'm sorry, I'm late. I just received an urgent mission. I had to finish it before rushing over here. I looked up and saw beads of sweat on her forehead. She must have come here without a single moment's rest. Instinctively, I wanted to help her wipe away the sweat. Just as my hand moved, Jianmin's voice cut me off. Where did you find this actress? We don't have time to waste on you. Give the banquet hall back to Jianan now. Our auspicious hour is almost here. Because of her military background, Lin Yueying rarely appeared in public. There are no photos of her in magazines or the media. Moreover, she had always confessed her feelings to me in private. It's only natural that these people wouldn't recognize her. Gu Jianan saw Jian Yanji continuing to stand in the way, realizing it would only delay the wedding hour, so he began acting pitiful again. He squeezed out a few tears. Yanji, I know you're jealous that the sisters are marrying me. They are only doing this to help me. They don't want anyone to look down on me, so they decided to marry me at the same time. Now everyone already knows about this. If you keep stopping the ceremony, I will become a laughingstock to the whole world. I won't have any place left in Haicheng. I'll have to go back to my poor village. I'll never be able to leave those mountains again." After Gu Jianan finished, tears streamed down his face. Seeing him like that, the 4 adopted sisters felt their hearts ache for him. I refused to indulge him any longer and spoke directly to the heart of the matter. "The reason you have no standing is that you plagiarized my graduation project. You brought this on yourself. It wasn't me who harmed you. Stop acting so pitiful." When Jianmin heard this, she clenched her fists and spoke through gritted teeth. "Jian Yanji, that's enough. Jianan already apologized to you for that. He just happened to see it on my computer and used it as inspiration for reference. It wasn't intentional plagiarism. You're clinging to this and won't let it go. Who are you trying to impress with this aggressive behavior?" The corners of my mouth curled into a cold smile. Am I being aggressive? If he truly felt he had done wrong, he wouldn't be wearing the suit I designed while knowing full well it was stolen work. The moment I said that, Jianmin was instantly left speechless. Jian Qingyi frowned, her voice a few tones higher than usual. "Enough, let this matter end here." She turned to look at Lin Yueying, scanning her from head to toe. Based on her years of business intuition, she felt this woman was definitely more than just an actress. She was silent for a moment before speaking coolly. "Yanji, it seems that over the years we have truly raised you to be far too arrogant. Once our wedding with Jianan is over, we'll have to teach you some proper rules." The second Jian sister, who had been silent, spoke up. "If you step aside now and let us finish the ceremony with Jianan, we won't hold any of this against you." Lin Yueying took a step forward, shielding me firmly. Her expression darkened, and her voice was heavy with pressure. "My man, the man of Lin Yueying, is not for you lot to lecture." As soon as Lin Yueying said those words, the women opposite us immediately turned cold. In particular, the movie queen, Jian Lan, seeing me hide behind Lin Yueying, felt a surge of unexplainable rage. She pulled back her smile, squinting as she looked Lin Yueying up and down. Her tone was full of mockery. "Which entertainment agency are you signed with? I see you have the potential to be a movie queen yourself. Do you even know who Lin Yueying is? How dare you try to play her part?" Lin Yueying glanced back at me as if asking me, "Do these sisters of yours always fail to understand human speech?" I nodded slightly to her. Jian Min, seeing our silent exchange of affection, was about to explode with fury. "Jian Yanji, don't take this joke too far. Do you have any idea about the Lin family's background? If they found out about this, the eldest sister would have to clean up your mess. Hand over the banquet hall now. We need to hold our wedding with Jianan." Lin Yueying rubbed her temples and signaled her bodyguards to take them away. "Since you don't understand words, I will personally teach you how to behave like humans. Remove these 5 from the villa. From now on, all properties belonging to the Lin group are off limits to them." The 5 of them finally noticed the bodyguards behind her. They were completely different from the villa's security. These men were built like tanks with the undeniable aura of professional soldiers. Jian Min wanted to say more, but Jian Qingyi barked at her to shut up. Jian Qingyi looked Lin Yueying straight in the eye. The depth of those eyes and the overwhelming aura radiating from her told Jian Qingyi everything. This woman was likely the real Lin Yueying. She was forced to take a step back. "We don't need this hall anymore. We'll just use the old hall for the wedding. Regardless of who you are, you must know the Jian family's status in Haicheng. Besides, our families have always collaborated. It wouldn't be good for anyone if this gets out of hand." Jian Qingyi was a true businesswoman, using just a few words to apply pressure. But Lin Yueying didn't care for her words at all. She raised an eyebrow and said coldly, "If I recall correctly, you all are just adopted children brought home by the grandfather, not actual heirs of the Jian family. Without the Jian name, you are absolutely nothing. If the grandfather knew you were bullying his grandson like this, he likely would have kicked you out long ago. While I still have some patience left, be smart and get out of here yourselves. You are not welcome here." Lin Yueying's words struck right at their sore spots. They clenched their fists tightly, but didn't dare to provoke her further. They could only glare at Lin Yueying, without daring to utter a single word. Even the usually calm Jian Qingyi was now seething with rage. It felt as if her very pride had been stabbed. She coldly replied to Lin Yueying, "We can leave, but we're taking Yanji with us. We are his fiancés. We can't let him stay with another woman." Lin Yueying's furrowed brows grew sharp. She radiated the untouchable aura of a high-ranking superior. Jian Qingyi looked her in the eye, a cold light burning in her gaze. Neither woman would back down. "Who gave you such confidence? What makes you think you're Yanji's fiancés? Today is the wedding between me and Yanji. From now on, he belongs to me, Lin Yueying. He no longer has anything to do with you lot." Having said her piece, Lin Yueying signaled to have these 5 eyesores tied up and dragged away. Feeling a bit nervous about showing such violence to her new husband, Lin Yueying felt a flicker of anxiety. She turned around and looked down at me, her voice softening significantly. "Yanji, are you afraid of someone like me?" Lin Yueying came from the prestigious Line family. To maintain her position, she naturally had to use certain methods. She just didn't want to show that side to me. I looked up into her eyes, my gaze filled with sincerity. Not at all. On the contrary, I should thank you. Thank you for helping me resolve these big troubles. Hearing my response, Lin Yueying finally felt at ease. I've heard about you and those adopted sisters. I know that one of them was supposed to be your fiancé and walk down the aisle with you. You always thought they treated you well, only to realize today how much grievance you've endured. Lin Yueying's tender gaze remained fixed on me, her expression full of determination. Being stared at like that made me feel a bit shy. My cheeks flushed red. She pulled a wrapped piece of Uriel cake from her pocket and placed it in the palm of my hand. You've had to wait so long, you must be hungry, right? Eat something to hold you over. I was submerged in her tenderness, feeling like I was floating on air. Unconsciously, I unwrapped the cake and began to eat. It was soft, with a subtle sweetness that wasn't overwhelming. The taste was wonderful. Halfway through, I suddenly remembered something. I took out the brooch I had prepared earlier from my pocket. As I handed it to her, I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eye. This is a gift I chose for you. Even though it's not our first time meeting, I still wanted to give you something. I spent a long time choosing this. I hope you like it. Lin Yueying took the brooch. With a smile in her eyes, she looked at me and whispered, I love it. As long as it's from you, I will always love it. She hadn't expected her husband to be so adorable and bashful. She really wanted to pinch my cheek, but she managed to restrain herself. She was afraid she might startle me. From the very first moment she saw me, she had sworn that she must marry me. It was only due to family matters later on that she couldn't stay by my side. She had missed out on my growing years. Lin Yueying silently vowed in her heart that she would treat me twice as well from now on, to make up for all the time that was lost. Because grandfather's health was poor, I didn't let him leave the hospital for the wedding. Lin Yueying, fearing she might overwhelm me, only invited a few family elders. The ceremony was not particularly complicated. Afterward, I followed her back to the military residential compound. Lin Yueying had decorated the bridal room beautifully. Even the slippers, toothbrush, and towels had all been prepared for me in advance. However, the environment in the compound compared to the villa was admittedly a bit lacking. Lin Yueying lowered her eyes to look at me. I originally planned to have you stay in the city villa, but the relationships in the Lin family are very complex. I didn't want you to face those things alone, so I brought you with me to the military base. Though the conditions here are a bit basic, absolutely no one will come to disturb you. You can focus on doing whatever you like in peace. After speaking, she gently patted my head. You've had a tiring day. Go get washed up and get some rest early. My face suddenly burned hot. Will we be sharing a bed later? Or? Under the dim light, the flush on my face was still faintly visible, as if I were drunk. Lin Yueying took a step closer, narrowing the distance between us instantly. She stood on her tiptoes slightly, her warm breath brushing past my ear. Does Yanji want to share a bed or sleep separately? Lin Yueying at this moment was worlds apart from her serious self during the day. Her voice rose slightly, carrying a hint of seduction. I was completely enveloped in her pure, feminine scent. For a moment, my head spun and I couldn't think straight anymore. Before I could answer, Lin Yueying stepped back. The apartment the military assigned has 2 bedrooms. You sleep in the main bridal room and I'll sleep in the side room. Even though we are married and sleeping together is natural, we haven't interacted much yet and aren't very familiar with each other. It's true, I'm not mentally prepared yet. Lin Yueying had clearly seen my nervousness, so she didn't push me. Meanwhile, at the gate of the Haicheng Villa, Jian Qingyi's group of 4 and Gu Jianan returned to the house, only to find the main door tightly locked. They entered the old passcode, but no matter what they did, the door wouldn't open. Jian Qingyi immediately called her assistant to find someone to check what was wrong with the passcode lock. The assistant was silent for a while before daring to speak. Boss, this villa is currently listed for sale on the second-hand market. They'll send you the property information. Please take a look. Hearing this, Jian Qingyi's face darkened instantly. She clicked the link sent by the assistant. The property for sale was indeed the villa they were living in. The second Jian sister sensed something was wrong and leaned in to ask the eldest sister. What's going on? Jian Qingyi knitted her brows tightly. Yanji has put this house up for sale on the market. When the others heard this, their expressions turned grim. From the powerful woman at the wedding today to the villa being sold right now, they finally realized with a shock that I wasn't joking. I truly wanted to leave them. The 4 sisters stared at each other in stunned silence, their eyes filled with horror and unease. They never imagined that I would actually go. Before, when they hinted at their feelings for me, I would be so embarrassed that I'd get all flustered. It was clear that I had intended to marry them, though I had hesitated between all of them. They had even agreed among themselves that no matter who I chose, it wouldn't affect their sisterly bonds. But now, how could I possibly discard them and choose someone else? These past few days, I kept saying I already had a wife. It turned out to be the truth. I had planned to leave them since a month ago. After a while, Jianmin stammered, eldest sister, does Jian Yanji really want to leave us and marry someone else? Was that woman today really Lin Yueying? After Jian Qingyi left the villa, she ordered someone to retrieve today's livestream recording. A grand scale like that could likely only be pulled off by the military. Furthermore, to act so disrespectfully toward the four of them, without showing any fear of the consequences, that woman could only be Lin Yuang. Jian Qingyi nodded in silence. The faces of the four sisters immediately became extremely unsightly. If it were anyone else, they would have been 100% certain they could take me back. But if it's Lin Yuang, the situation has become incredibly difficult. All four of them felt a lump of frustration in their chests, but had nowhere to vent it. On the contrary, Gu Jianan, standing beside them, was secretly overjoyed. If I was already married, there would be no one left to compete with him for the four sisters. Even though today's wedding had vanished like smoke, living under the same roof with the five of them in the future, he didn't believe he couldn't win them over. When the time came, he just needed to marry any one of the four, to firmly plant his roots here in Haicheng. Thinking of this, he was immensely pleased with himself. Yet, on the outside, he still feigned a look of grievance. Yanji clearly knows that all of you sisters grew up together in this villa. Why would he be so heartless as to sell it? Hearing Gu Jianan's words, their expressions grew even gloomier. I hadn't just discarded them. I had discarded years of affection and memories as well. No matter what, the most important thing right now was to keep the villa. Even if the person was gone, at least they had to keep the place, as a memento. Jian Qingyi immediately called her assistant, ordering them to buy back the villa at any cost. The assistant hesitated slightly and spoke awkwardly. Boss? There isn't enough money in the account. Jian Qingyi frowned. Why isn't there enough money? Is something wrong with the company? The assistant's voice began to stammer. Boss, there's nothing wrong with the company. It's just that you no longer have authorization to use company funds. The old master has revoked all of your privileges. The funds in your personal account aren't enough to pay for this villa. In the silent night, the voice on the phone was crystal clear. Everyone standing around heard it. If even grandfather had intervened, it meant he was fully aware of my marriage. The four of them had originally been chosen and groomed by grandfather to be my future fiancés. But now, all hope for that was completely gone. The movie queen, Jianlan, stepped forward and patted the eldest sister's shoulder. Eldest sister, I still have some savings. See if it's enough if we pool it together. The second sister chimed in. Mine too. Let's combine them. Jianmin also spoke up hastily. I still have the prize money from my races saved up. Eldest sister, you can use it. This villa, located right in the center of Haicheng, was worth over 1 billion yuan. The four of them never thought that they would one day fall into such financial desperation, having to scrape together every penny just to buy a house. In an instant, everyone fell into silence. When Gu Jianan heard these words, his expression flickered for a moment. But upon second thought, Jian Qingyi was a top economist. The second sister was a world-famous doctor. The third sister was a renowned movie queen. And the fourth sister was a top-tier professional racer. Even without the support of the Jian family, these women could still live very comfortably. Besides, he was already used to living in this villa. Other houses were old, dilapidated, and cramped. He simply looked down on them. He spoke cautiously. Eldest sister, I have a little bit as well. But before he could finish, Jinmin interrupted him. How much money could you possibly have? Seeing Gu Jianan's aggrieved face, Jinmin realized she had misspoken and quickly added another sentence. That's not what I meant. This villa has nothing to do with you, so you don't need to give any money. Those words didn't comfort Gu Jianan at all. On the contrary, they made his expression even worse. Gu Jianan felt sidelined. He felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. Previously, if he had even the slightest mood shift, they would all notice immediately. As long as he looked slightly pitiful, they would be filled with worry and compassion. But now that I was gone, everything had changed. Jian Qingyi, it's come to this. We forced him to give all his things to Jianan. But those things belonged to him in the first place. Some people only learn to cherish what they have after they lose it. They looked back at old text messages and realized with a shock how much they had hurt me in the past. I should have been the little prince they cherished most. But why did everything change after that? At this moment, Gu Jianan approached with a timid look, his tone sounding incredibly pitiful. Third sister, can you sleep with me? This villa is so empty. I'm very scared. The movie queen Jianlan looked at him, without a single trace of compassion in her eyes. Her voice had turned cold. If you're scared, go turn on the lights yourself. What's the use of coming to me? Gu Jianan froze on the spot. Previously, whenever he said he was scared, all four sisters would scramble to coax him to sleep. But now, they wouldn't even spare him a glance. Tears immediately began to fall from his eyes. He choked out, but I really am very scared. Seeing how pitiful he looked, they eventually relented. Jianmin stepped forward. Let's go. He'll sleep with you. None of them could sleep a wink that night. Each of them was busy plotting how to bring Jian Yanji back. With him not at home, the house felt cold and desolate. This place was supposed to be filled with so many memories. From when he was 10 until he graduated from university, the bittersweet stories of the past came flooding back to their minds. I found this sleep to be incredibly refreshing. It was the best sleep I'd had since my rebirth. Lin Yuang had helped me escape those people. Last night, I didn't have any more nightmares. By the time I woke up, it was almost noon. Lin Yuang had brought lunch home during her break. The food at the military canteen is a bit bland. I was afraid you wouldn't like it, so I had someone buy spicy stir-fried chicken and spicy beef from outside for you. You should have a taste. I've been smelling that delicious aroma for a while now. Ever since I was a kid, I can't enjoy a meal without chili. These two dishes really suit my taste. Seeing me eat with such gusto, Lin Yueying's cold face softened into a slight smile. Eat slowly. No one's going to take it from you. She handed me a glass of water. My Lin family. We have the afternoon off. Let's go visit grandfather at the Lin family nursing home together. I nodded in agreement. In my previous life, Jian Yanji was imprisoned by Jian Qingyi and her sisters. He didn't even get to see grandfather's face one last time. That was my greatest regret. Grandfather had achieved many great things in his youth. In his old age, he often suffered pain from old wounds, but his body was still quite robust. In my past life, he suddenly passed away from a heart attack shortly after. In this life, I must take him for a thorough checkup, to prevent the tragedy from repeating itself. When we went out, Lin Yueying's soft hand held mine tightly. My hand was enveloped by hers. Suddenly, a warm feeling surged in my heart. The two of us walked under the sycamore trees. The radiant sunlight washed over us. Our shadows stretched out on the ground. Perhaps this is what peaceful years feel like. Hello, brother-in-law. Several of Lin Yueying's new recruits suddenly appeared on the path. They called out brother-in-law in unison. My face instantly turned bright red. I replied softly, "Hello, everyone." Then I shyly hid behind Lin Yueying's back. Lin Yueying usually has a very cold face when training them, nothing like the gentle expression she has now. Every shout of brother-in-law made me want to vanish instantly, but it made Lin Yueying feel incredibly refreshed. The Lin family nursing home wasn't far from the collective housing, but it felt like I had been walking for a very long time. My entire face was completely flushed. The moment I saw grandfather, I immediately rushed forward to embrace grandfather on his hospital bed. Tears began to well up in my eyes. Grandfather, I missed you so much. Even lying on a hospital bed, the old man still exuded dignity. He couldn't help but be moved by my choking sobs. He gently patted my back. All right now, Yanji. You're this big already and you're still a crybaby? Yuang is still watching, you know. I stood up reluctantly after a long while. Lin Yuang stepped forward and took my hand. She gave a gentle, soothing pat. Grandfather, Yanji just missed you too much. Seeing Lin Yuang lovingly protecting me by my side, grandfather revealed a satisfied smile. You've joined the military now. We can see each other more often from now on. If Yuang ever bullies you, then just tell grandfather. I'll help you teach her a lesson. Lin Yuang tilted her head to look at the person beside her. Her eyes were filled with a gentle smile. Grandfather, please rest assured, I will absolutely never bully Yanji. Good, very good, grandfather nodded repeatedly. He was extremely satisfied with his granddaughter-in-law, Lin Yueying. I suddenly remembered something. I took a step forward and asked, Grandfather, have you felt any discomfort in your heart lately? The old man shook his head. My heart feels fine. I am in the rehabilitation department. It's just these old wounds acting up all over my body, although his heart didn't feel anything unusual. Thinking of my previous life where grandfather died suddenly of a heart attack, I still decided to take him for medical tests, holding the test results in my hand. His heart function was completely normal. I thought to myself how strange it was. Grandfather's heart function was perfectly normal. How could he have died suddenly of heart disease? Inside the Jian family villa. The four sisters had been searching for Jian Yanji for a week, but there was still no news at all. I seemed to have suddenly vanished into thin air. They frantically recalled everything. I had said over the past month, during New Year's and previous years, they would always celebrate the New Year with me, this year without me. All four of them were sullen and gloomy. Gu Jianan had put in so much effort to hand-wrap the dumplings, but they didn't even bother to give them a single glance. Second sister felt she could no longer bear this atmosphere. Suddenly, she remembered that I had been hospitalized for a few days before. The VIP hospital rooms all had surveillance cameras. Maybe some clues could be found there. She grabbed her coat and walked straight out, leaving only one sentence for the other three. I'm going to check the surveillance cameras in the hospital room where Yanji used to stay, see if she could discover anything. Gu Jianan had already felt aggrieved lately because of the sisters' coldness. Now they were directly ignoring him. He felt even more resentful. He said with tears welling in his eyes, First sister, third sister, fourth sister, these dumplings, I personally wrapped each one. Please eat a little. On a normal day, if the three saw him like this, they would surely have stepped forward to comfort him. But right now, their hearts were only filled with inexplicable frustration. Jian Qingyi didn't even bother to look at him. She said coldly, "I'm also going to the hospital to check the cameras." The others also began clamoring to follow. Hearing this, Gu Jianan was suddenly struck by panic. That day, he had provoked me at the hospital, and he had even revealed the truth about the drugging. If they were to see that, then it would be all over for him. He tried his absolute best to stop them, but in the end, he couldn't stop it. All four sisters saw the hospital camera footage. It recorded his arrogant and defiant behavior. They returned in a fury, intending to demand an explanation, but before they could even let out their anger, he collapsed to his knees before them. "I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have, after receiving your favor, intentionally gone to brag in front of Yanji. You can punish me however you like." After seeing his aggressive true face, and now seeing this tearful act of his, they only felt truly nauseated. Jian Qingyi was the one with the sharpest mind. She paid no heed to his words, but interrogated. "In the video, you said you were the one who harmed him. Does that mean back then, in the lounge, that aphrodisiac incense, you were really the one who lit it, right? No one was framing you, were they?" Gu Jianan completely didn't expect this. That Jian Qingyi would remember something from so long ago. He immediately broke into a cold sweat. His whole body trembled like a leaf. The expressions on their faces changed at the same time. They didn't expect the little white flower they worked so hard to protect would turn out to be a venomous snake. Jianmin was the one closest in age to me. Originally, she was the one who defended me the most. But afterwards, because of Gu Jianan's constant provocations and fake suffering, her heart had gradually changed. She didn't know how many times before he had intentionally framed me. Thinking of this, her heart suddenly turned cold. If it weren't for this surveillance footage, they likely still wouldn't believe it even now. And they would still think that night I was playing hard to get. The faces of the four sisters were all pale. Gu Jianan was so terrified that he collapsed to the ground. He begged almost desperately. "I didn't do anything. I'm being framed by someone. Please believe me, sisters, okay? Yanji sponsored my studies. He helped me so much. How could I possibly harm him?" He tried his best to squeeze out a few tears, but it failed to move anyone. Second sister, who had always been gentle with him, now spoke in a freezing voice. "First sister, he is no longer fit to work for the conglomerate. Fire him." Gu Jianan crawled forward on his knees, trying to grab the hem of second sister's pants, but he was kicked away. He kept kowtowing and begging. "First sister, second sister, please don't fire me. If I lose this job, I'll have no choice but to go back to my village. By then, all alone, I don't know how much I'll be bullied by the people in my village. I beg you to have mercy on me." The four sisters remained unmoved. Jianmin directly charged forward and squeezed his chin tightly. "I protected you so much, a man with such a wicked heart like yours. Just how many times did you frame Yanji? Was it fun for you to play us for fools? You felt quite accomplished, didn't you? You should get lost back to your mountain corner, so they can sell you off to some old widows. They'll throw you right back there tomorrow." Hearing these words, Gu Jianan was absolutely horrified. "Fourth sister, I beg of you. No, don't treat me like this. As long as you don't send me back there, I'll do whatever you tell me. Please don't drive me away." Jianmin ruthlessly shoved him away. "Don't call me fourth sister. I don't have a wolf-hearted younger brother like you." Gu Jianan still wouldn't stop crying and begging, constantly repeating meaningless words. Later, his words became superficial. He was intentionally stalling for time, waiting for an opportunity. Jian Qingyi was the first to notice something unusual. Her body began to feel a burning heat. She intended to leave, but her legs were weak and lacked strength. For the first time, a look of cruelty appeared in her eyes. She glared at Gu Jianan, gritting out every word. "You lit aphrodisiac incense in here." When the others heard this, they also began to dimly realize an indescribable heat began to surface in all of their bodies. Gu Jianan curled his lips. He laughed sinisterly. That's right. He had calculated it all carefully. As long as he could get them pregnant with his child, he would be able to stay by right. The moment they went to the hospital to check the cameras, he had already formed this plan in his mind. Originally, he thought, as long as the five of them lived under one roof, he would surely have a chance to move one of them, and then register their marriage so he could stay. But over the past few days, they had risked everything to find me, completely ignoring him. He knew that was no longer possible, so he might as well just let them bear his flesh and blood. After all, illegitimate children still have inheritance rights. But by then, wouldn't he still be a wealthy man? After Jianmin heard this, she cursed at him furiously. "Who do you think you are? To think you could have a child with us? You're not even worthy to carry Yanji's shoes." Gu Jianan laughed even louder. "Who does that Yanji think he is? He's just relying on a good family background. If I had a background like his, I would absolutely never be like this. If he was also born in some remote mountain corner like me, his parents dead early, watched over by the village widows day after day, then he might not have escaped those mountains either." Movie star Jian Lan directly sneered. "Have you forgotten? Who sponsored your high school and university tuition? If it weren't for Yanji, you basically would never have left those mountains," as she spoke. Because of the drug's effect, she was breathing heavily without pause. Her voice, usually gentle, had now become incredibly seductive. Among them, Gu Jianan truly once had feelings for movie star Jianlan. If she could get pregnant with his child, he would feel quite satisfied. He had taken an inhibitor medication beforehand. The four in the room still maintained a shred of sanity. Gu Jianan crawled to movie star Jianlan's side. He pulled open her collar. His fingers caressed her body. Movie star Jianlan stared at the man before her. Instinctively, she wanted to push him away, but under the drug's control, she couldn't help but let out a sexy moan. Gu Jianan's actions were like pouring fuel onto a fire. Her whole body felt like it was constantly on fire. Gu Jianan continued his teasing. Her last bit of reason was instantly incinerated. She directly grabbed his hand and pinned him down beneath her body. A brutal penetration occurred, without any foreplay whatsoever. The room was instantly filled with lewd sounds of lovemaking. Movie star Jianlan kept bouncing on top of Gu Jianan. The others were also at a passionate age, and driven by the drug's powerful influence, they gradually lost all rationality. One by one, they used every method to torment Gu Jianan. Jianmin was the youngest, and also the one who knew how to play the most. She waited impatiently, was the last one to enter the fray. Gu Jianan begged with tears in his eyes. "Be gentle, I beg you." Jianmin completely ignored his words. "Isn't this exactly what you wanted?" Under the drug's influence, this ridiculous scene of debauchery lasted until dawn. Ever since that night, Gu Jianan had been held captive by them. If he wanted to trample upon himself like this, they couldn't be blamed for their cruelty. They used the most pathological tactics on him. They even used silver chains to lock his feet, to ensure he had no chance of escaping. Whenever they felt like they missed me, they would vent all their desires on him. Quickly, 3 months passed by. They still had no news of me. But they heard that grandfather had been discharged. They called grandfather, hoping to visit him, to apologize to him in person. When grandfather took the call, I was right there beside him. I didn't even think before directly refusing. "There's no need to visit. I'm doing well. Just worry about taking care of your own lives." The four of them were personally brought back from the orphanage by him, raised for so many years. After all, there was some emotional attachment, the current situation outside. I also understood it to some extent. He had demoted Jian Qingyi to a small branch of the conglomerate. The people there were very hostile towards her. That's just how the business world is. When you're successful, people flock to flatter you. When you fall from grace, everyone avoids you like the plague. Movie star Jianlan, having lost her financial backing. Resources began to dry up. The entertainment company no longer showed her any respect. All commercial activities were significantly cut. The entertainment industry is famous for praising the high and trampling the low. I wasn't sure about the other two, but their quality of life had undoubtedly plummeted. However, because they had done wrong, not only did they have to face their current fate, but it would also be hard to ever find their former glory again. Their mistake was crossing grandfather's ultimate boundary. Jian Yanji was the old man's only grandson. He nurtured those sisters so they could protect Yanji when he grew old. They were supposed to shelter Yanji in his place, but they didn't just fail to protect him. They joined forces with an outsider to bully him. This was something the old man would absolutely never forgive. I sat down to massage grandfather's legs. Softly, I asked, "Grandfather? Yueying has already taken a month off. We plan to go back to our hometown to register our marriage. Do you want to come back with us?" The old man nodded. "Of course I have to go back with you." This return, both families must definitely meet officially for a meal. Though he knew Lin family women were traditionally very loyal, he still wanted to go personally to be a strong support for his grandson. Furthermore, those girls were still in Haicheng. His return was also to keep a watchful eye, to prevent Yanji from being bullied again. Lin Yueying didn't get home until late after finishing training. By the time she arrived, I was already asleep. She gently pulled back the blanket and embraced me from behind. Her arm had just rested on my waist when I woke up. Her warm breath fanned softly against the crook of my neck. "Did I wake you up?" I shook my head and turned around. Facing her, I just wasn't sleeping very soundly. I feel like something is going to happen on this trip back. At this time in my previous life, grandfather had already passed away, but in this life, although all his health check results were very good, a vague sense of unease still haunted my heart. Lin Yueying sensed my anxiety. She held me tightly. "Don't worry, you have me." Lin Yueying's voice was gentle yet incredibly firm. That made me feel very much at peace. I let her hold me, thinking no more of anything else. I closed my eyes and gradually drifted into a deep sleep. Lin Yueying silently watched me as I slept soundly beside her, making a secret promise in her heart that she would protect me for the rest of her life, absolutely never letting me suffer any more harm. The next day, both woke up very early, taking grandfather with them on a helicopter to return to Haicheng. After arriving back in Haicheng, the very first thing we did was go straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register our marriage. Looking at the bright red marriage certificate in our hands, both of our faces couldn't help but break into happy smiles. Lin Yueying stood on her tiptoes and lightly kissed the corner of my lips. After 88 proposals, I've finally officially married the one I love. Throughout these past 3 months, the two had experienced a period of loving after being married. The feelings between them gradually grew more intense. From the very beginning, I could feel her passionate love. I was a little curious. Clearly, the time the two spent together before wasn't much. Why was her affection so profound, even persisting to the point of proposing 88 times? I had never asked before, but today, I really couldn't hold it back anymore. I looked up at Lin Yueying. "Can I ask you something?" Lin Yueying embraced me, gently nuzzling my chin. "Ask away. As long as I know, I'll tell you. I want to ask, we didn't have much interaction before. How could you patiently propose to me 88 times? Weren't you afraid I wasn't who you thought I was? What if the real me was arrogant and willful?" Lin Yueying didn't answer immediately. She gazed deeply into my eyes. Then she whispered softly into my ear. "Try to think back carefully. Do we really have no connection?" That counter question left me a bit stunned. When did we ever have a deep bond? Lin Yueying's face was so outstanding. How could I not have even a single impression? My eyebrows knitted together slightly. Aside from that time Lin Yueying confessed. Where else could I have met her? I really couldn't remember at all. I looked up at the person before me, muttering, "Besides that time you confessed to me, had we ever met anywhere else? You're not fooling me, are you?" I searched through all my past memories, and I was certain that, besides that confession, I truly had no other impression. I strongly suspected Lin Yueying was trying to tease me. Lin Yueying smiled and shook her head. She showed a sense of helplessness towards me in her arms. Yes, I'm fooling you. I just had designs on you for your beauty the moment we met. That's why I persisted in proposing to you non-stop." This answer was even more absurd than the last. Naturally, I didn't believe it for a second. I resolutely pushed the person before me away. Pouting, I said, "Fine, if you won't tell me." Lin Yueying quickly grabbed my hand and pulled me back into her arms. She gently coaxed me and began to tell the story. "It's just that the first time we met wasn't very pretty. Back then, when I was only 10 years old, an age that should have been spent in innocence and happiness. Then my parents met with a sudden accident that very year. They both passed away. Grandfather had to endure the sight of the white-haired burying the black-haired. In just one night, he looked as if he had aged many years. At 10 years old, I suffered a life-threatening high fever. I almost didn't survive. She was the one who met me at that time. Back then, I was diagnosed with a rare condition, temporary hearing loss in both ears, during the absolute lowest point of my life. You suddenly appeared. Even though you had a high fever, you visited my hospital room every single day to tell me stories. Since I couldn't hear, you drew them for me. A small notebook filled with colorful stories. It was your sincere encouragement. That gave me the courage to step out of the shadows. After recovering, I wanted to thank you properly, but my family rushed to arrange for me to study abroad, so much so that I didn't even have time for a proper goodbye. Jian Yanji's eyes grew slightly moist. So, that little girl was actually you. At the time Lin Yueying just described, Grandfather was too busy dealing with family affairs, so he couldn't be at the hospital to take care of me. Every day, the only things I faced were 2 cold bodyguards. I was still too young back then. I couldn't yet fully grasp the true meaning of death, vaguely aware that from then on, I would no longer have my parents. I endured lonely days in the hospital, with no friends my own age to play with, and no relatives to comfort me. Lin Yueying was the only light flickering in that period of my life. Thanks to her companionship, my illness was able to gradually recover. Afterwards, when Lin Yueying left, I suddenly came down with another intense fever, making my already vague memories even more chaotic. That's why I couldn't recognize her at first sight. Lin Yueying gently wiped away the tears from my cheeks. She coaxed softly, "Don't cry anymore. We have to go home for a meal in a bit. If Grandfather sees you crying, he'll scold me for bullying you." I couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Then I'm going to tell Grandfather right away. Tell him I've been bullied by a certain little girl since I was 10. So he can draw comics for her every day." Lin Yueying shook her head helplessly. Her eyes were full of smiles. "I have to spoil my own husband, so what do I have to do for you to stop being angry?" My eyes darted around, then I hopped onto her back. Lin Yueying caught me steadily. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Just carry me home on your back." Lin Yueying is a soldier. She trains all year round. She's very strong, so she carries me very steadily. When I was little, I loved lying on my father's back most. That was the happiest time. It's the same now. Lin Yueying proposed 88 times before succeeding. She treasures it more than anyone else, no matter what. She will never let go. Both families agreed to have dinner together. Grandfather changed his clothes early on. Both families took this meeting very seriously. As soon as we entered the private room, Lin Yueying's parents grabbed my hands. They stuffed 2 large red envelopes into my hands and a powerful black card. "Yanji, this is to celebrate you and Yueying registering your marriage. In the future, buy whatever you want. You don't need to save money for Yueying. They took out several real estate certificates and handed them to me. Our last meeting was too rushed. We didn't have time to give these things to you. See which one you like and take that one as your new home. Although I don't lack these things, the feeling of being valued is truly wonderful. I can feel the sincere care in their eyes. Lin Yueying also smiled and said, "Accept them. My parents prepared these specifically for us." I nodded and smiled at the two elders. "Thank you, father, mother." When the two of them heard me say that, they were overjoyed. They toasted grandfather with a glass of wine. "Sir, you have raised Yanji very well. Being able to marry him is our Yueying's good fortune." Grandfather smiled broadly and downed the wine. "Since Yanji married Yueying, I also feel at ease. It's clear that all three of them are very satisfied with this marriage." At the dinner table, the elders kept putting food on my plate. The food in my bowl had piled up into a small mountain. I couldn't bear to refuse the elders' kindness, so I had to eat it all. Lin Yueying noticed it by my side. She quietly helped me eat a lot, but in the end, I still consumed quite a lot of meat to the point that whenever I saw meat in my bowl later, I felt nauseous. Lin Yueying also ate a fair amount. Eventually, she also felt a bit nauseous. Her reaction caused a major stir. When Lin Yueying's mother saw this, her eyes lit up. If Yueying is reacting like this, could she be pregnant? That one sentence made my face flush instantly. Lin Yueying and I have indeed shared a bed, but I truly hadn't thought about that yet. After dinner, the elders of both families advised Lin Yueying to go to the hospital for a checkup tomorrow. Both of us nodded in agreement. Contrary to the joy on this side, in the villa on the other side, it was a different scene. Every day, Gujianan was tortured by the four of them in turns, used as a tool for release. He had long since regretted his previous actions. He pleaded for forgiveness incessantly, but no one would let him off. He used to live in this luxurious villa, pampered like a real young master. Now he has fallen to being a plaything for the four of them. He knelt on the ground, shedding tears of genuine remorse. Though it was bright and sunny outside, Gujianan felt as though he were in endless darkness. He had once done everything to escape the poor mountain regions. After much effort, he finally got into university. Then he racked his brains to find ways to please me, making me feel pity for him and bringing him back to the villa. Under his careful calculations, he finally made the four sisters dote on him, but no matter how much he thought, he couldn't understand why everything he had worked so hard for vanished into thin air. Right after I left, everything disappeared completely. His current self is like falling from the high clouds into a mud pit, like a beautiful dream shattered. He turned back into an ugly duckling that no one cares about, but he was not reconciled. Why would an arrogant person like me gain the favor of all four of them and even marry into the most powerful Lin family in Haicheng just because I have a good background? In terms of ability, in what way is he inferior to me? He decided to make one final effort. For 3 consecutive months, the four of them always reeked of alcohol when they entered his room. They were frantically searching for me outside, but after losing their privileges, they suddenly became insignificant before the noble families. All the resentment in their hearts was vented entirely on Gujianan. That night, they entered the room as usual. Just as they were about to touch him, he slumped down onto his knees on the floor. Eldest sister, second sister, third sister, fourth sister, I know I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I don't dare to replace Yanji, nor should I have fantasized about having you. Please, sisters, let me go, he pleaded over and over again, but none of the four were moved in the slightest. Movie star Jianlan looked at him coldly. Stop your clownish antics right now. We won't be fooled by you ever again. Jianmin even stepped directly forward and squeezed his chin hard. Do you think we'll spare you just because you pretend to be pitiful? Do you know how miserably you've harmed us? Eldest sister lost her position as CEO of the group. At the subsidiary, she's looked down upon everywhere. Third sister was stabbed in the back by people in the industry who would have dared to treat her like that before. All of this is because of you. Tell me, on what grounds should we forgive you? To everyone's surprise, Gujianan suddenly changed his sycophantic attitude. He bit Jianmin hard. Jianmin's hand immediately started bleeding from the bite, leaving a deep tooth mark. She swung her hand and slapped Gujianan hard. You dare bite me? Gujianan was hit so hard he saw stars. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He raised his head to look at the four people in front of him. His eyes were full of sarcasm. You high and mighty people, aren't you just like me deep in your bones? Just flattering Jianyanji to climb higher? Gujianan's words completely infuriated the four of them. Jianmin was so angry her face turned purple. What nonsense are you talking? If you dare speak recklessly again, I will kill you. Second sister also shed her usual elegance and spoke fiercely. Not everyone is as money-hungry as you. If you can't speak properly, then shut up. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind sewing your mouth shut. Even Jian Qingyi, who was always silent, spoke up. The relationship of over a decade between us and Yanji is not for someone like you to smear. Their voices were several notches higher than usual. When people feel guilty, they often show signs like this. Gu Jianen's words had struck the deepest secrets in their hearts. Since leaving the orphanage to come to this home, they had indeed done their best to please me, always giving in to me, only hoping that I would be happy, because they knew very well that, as long as I was happy, they could continue to stay in this place. Instead of going back to the orphanage, Jian Qingyi would have a better educational environment to get into a prestigious university. The others would also have better living conditions to pursue the things they desired. Grandfather once said he would choose one of them to be my wife later. In their hearts, they all understood one thing. Only the one who was chosen could possess all of this forever. So, they all doted on me like a fiancé. They watched me go from a tiny boy to growing into a handsome young man. Through the days and months of living together, their hearts also gradually began to flutter. It's just that no one dared to show it too clearly because they didn't want to make it awkward for the others. They had made a pact together, no matter who Jian Yanji chose. They wouldn't turn against each other because of it. They would always be good sisters. A malicious person like Gu Jianen. How could he understand the bond between them? The man in front of them didn't flinch at their words. Instead, the smile on his lips grew wider. He smirked and continued sarcastically. Oh, really? Without Jian Yanji, would you be where you are today? You're no different from me, just a bunch of orphans, unloved and unwanted, all just lowlifes? Jian Min immediately swung her hand and ripped his pants off. Let me see who the truly despicable one is. Usually, Gu Jianan would have begged and dodged by now, but today, he proactively welcomed it, looking straight into Jian Min's eyes. Yes, I am despicable, but maybe you're already pregnant with my child. Then your child will just be a lowlife too. When they heard those words, they were all stunned. Jian Min's eyes, which were fierce, also darkened slightly. The room fell into a deadly silence. Thinking back carefully, over the past period, they and Gu Jianan had been intimate. Indeed, there were many times they didn't use protection, so it was very likely he wasn't lying. The four of them looked at each other, their eyes filled with shock. Finally, eldest sister spoke up first. Tomorrow, we will go to the hospital for a checkup. You better not be playing any tricks. Gu Jianan said one thing that was very true. They were all orphans. Since they were young, no one loved or cared for them. While other children were pampered by parents and relatives, they still had to worry about every meal. Later, when they entered the orphanage, they tried to be sociable, doing many things to please the director, just hoping to be given an extra small piece of candy. They carefully made friends with the children around them, but those friends were adopted one by one. The people around them kept changing wave after wave. Deep in their hearts, they always felt lonely. If they really were pregnant, they would definitely keep the child. Regardless of whose child it was, it would be their own flesh and blood. Gu Jianan said all those things, just hoping they would take him to the hospital. The security at the villa was too strict. He didn't have a single chance to escape. Once they reached the hospital, a crowded and chaotic place moreover, with gynecological examinations, men aren't allowed in. He would have a chance to get away then. That night, the four of them stopped torturing Gu Jianan. This was the only time in 3 months he could have a good night's sleep, but this sleep wasn't very peaceful. He had broken dreams. His dreams were full of scenes of the four of them torturing him. These past days, he had lived like he was in hell. Both his body and mind were extremely tormented. He woke up before dawn. He really couldn't close his eyes anymore. His heart was full of hope to escape this cage. The next day, all four of them put aside their work to take Gu Jianan for a medical checkup. No matter where they went, the four of them followed closely without taking their eyes off him. Gu Jianan had thought that during the private examinations, he could avoid them and escape. But Jiang Qinshui used her status as a doctor to lead him closely during every checkup, leaving him no loophole to escape. The glimmer of hope in Gu Jianan's eyes died out once more. Was he really going to live like this forever? Just being imprisoned as their plaything? How is this any different from being in the deep mountains and being sold to an old widow? Despair once again clouded his eyes. At the Lin family villa, I slept until I woke up naturally before getting out of bed. Lin Yuang was standing by the bed. She leaned down and kissed my forehead. Are you hungry? Let's eat something before going to the hospital. I've already asked the doctor to just check for pregnancy. You don't need to fast. I wrapped my arms around her neck. I could still see her blushing cheeks. I leaned close to her ear and said in a pampered voice, but I don't have any strength at all. I can't get out of bed before I could even finish my sentence. I was pulled up by Lin Yueying with one hand. I let out a soft cry of surprise and hurriedly clung to her shoulders. Just as we walked out the door, we bumped right into Grandfather, who had just returned from morning exercise. Grandfather's voice came from the side. Yanji, you're already this old, still clinging to your wife like that at home? What kind of behavior is this? Let go of her right now. Hearing Grandfather's words, my face suddenly turned bright red from embarrassment. But I hugged Lin Yueying even tighter. I actually wanted to let go, but Lin Yueying held me even closer. Her serious voice rang out from beside me. Sir, didn't you agree to let me pursue Yanji then? Precisely because you felt that after marriage, I would surely love and protect him with all my heart? He just woke up and isn't fully awake yet. He has no strength to walk. It's only natural for me to support him. My hand secretly gave her back a little pinch, but she spoke even more enthusiastically. Grandpa, have you had breakfast yet? Do you want to come and eat with us? Grandfather waved his hands and told the two of us to go downstairs quickly. I was led downstairs by her hand. I couldn't help but complain inwardly. There was a hint of affection in my voice. Don't do that in front of Grandfather next time, Lin Yuang whispered gently in my ear. It's okay. Didn't you see that Grandpa had a satisfied smile on his face? After we finished breakfast, we set off for the hospital. Lin Yuang intended to arrange a private passage for me. I stopped her. We're not in any rush. Let's just wait in line at the obstetrics department normally. No need for special arrangements. She nodded slightly. As you command, my lord husband. After both of us finished the registration procedures, we went straight to the obstetrics department to wait. I really could never have expected that. I would run into the four sisters and Gu Jianan here. Eldest sister Jian Qingyi, with a solemn face, was sitting on a long bench right at the clinic door. The others were standing around Gu Jianan. Second sister was standing in a position facing the hallway door. The moment I stepped in, I saw her immediately. Yanji's second sister's surprised cry drew everyone's gaze toward me. Eldest sister Jian Qingyi even bolted upright. All four of them looked at me with extremely complex expressions. There was immense joy and long-awaited expectation, as well as anxiety and awkwardness. Not knowing what to do, Jianmin immediately strode straight toward me. When she was only about 3 steps away from me, she was blocked by Lin Yuang. She didn't seem to care about Lin Yuang's cold face at all, and just stared intently at me, completely changing her previous overbearing attitude. Her voice was full of gentleness and grievance. Yanji, where have you been for the past 3 months? Do you know how long we've been looking for you? Second sister also stepped closer. Yanji, stop being sulky. We all miss you very much. Will you come home with me? Movie star Jianlan also approached, intending to grab my hand, but Lin Yuang swung her hand and brushed her away. Since becoming famous, Jianlan had never been treated like that by anyone. Feeling extremely embarrassed in front of so many people, she burst out screaming, Lin Yuang, what right do you have to stop me? The bond of many years between us and Yanji isn't something an outsider like you can compare to. Lin Yuang's already cold eyes suddenly became even more icy. First, I am not an outsider. I am Jian Yanji's lawful wife. Second, you still seem to be entangled with Gu Jianan. So what right do you have to question me here? After speaking, Lin Yuang nonchalantly wiped her fingers, as if she were disgusted that her hand had just touched that movie star. The three of them, upon hearing Gu Jianan's name mentioned, all hesitated for a moment in confusion. We just brought Gu Jianan here for a medical checkup together. There is absolutely no other relationship between us. Lin Yuang gave them a chilling glance and let out a contemptuous laugh. A checkup that leads you all the way to the obstetrics department. Are you here for a pregnancy test? Their petty intentions were exposed on the spot by Lin Yuang, causing their morale to deflate involuntarily while I remained calm, standing behind Lin Yuang. The moment I saw Gu Jianan, I couldn't help but frown slightly. In just 3 short months, Gu Jianan has become so emaciated he's hardly recognizable. He cowered in a corner. His whole being exuded a feeling that could be summed up in 2 words: despair. I know Gu Jianan stayed all too well in my previous life when I was imprisoned by the 4 foster sisters and brutally tortured. I was just like this. Yet these people standing before me keep saying they miss me dearly and even mention the so-called deep affection between us. Do they want to take me back there so that I can be their plaything once again? Just the thought of it made me feel extremely nauseous. I had to lean against the wall by the trash can and vomit uncontrollably. Lin Yuang immediately ran over anxiously and patted my back, whispering, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell somewhere?" The 4 sisters also rushed over. Second sister, seeing me in this state, furrowed her brows in deep concern. Yanji, what on earth is wrong with you? Taking advantage of when the attention of all 4 of them was entirely focused on me, Gu Jianan slipped out of the hospital and disappeared. After I'd been vomiting for a while, I finally started to feel a bit better. I looked at the people in front of me with cold eyes. My expression remained extremely distant. What's wrong with me? What does it have to do with you? It seems. You've gone to the trouble of coming here. One of you must be pregnant with Gu Jianan's child. I wonder which one of you sisters is planning to marry Gu Jianan. The moment they heard those words, all 4 of them, their expressions changed immediately. Movie star Jianlan stared at me and exclaimed in a soulful voice, Yanji, in our hearts, there has only ever been you. We will absolutely never marry Gu Jianan. Besides, today we brought him to this place. It's not actually for a pregnancy test, but just as she finished saying that, the nurse's voice called out from inside. We have the test results for patient Gu Jianan's wife. The fetus is currently 8 weeks old, the nurse's voice was like. Fiery slaps delivered straight to that movie star Jianlan's face, however. Her acting skills have always been excellent. Only a flicker of embarrassment for a second before she immediately covered it up. Who knew his wife would actually be pregnant? These past few days we've been busy searching for you, so we didn't notice when he got a girlfriend. Jianan, why didn't you tell us about such a major event? She turned her head to look sideways, intending to signal Gu Jianan with her eyes to cooperate with her, only to find in shock that Gu Jianan had already vanished from the hallway. Where is Gu Jianan? All 4 of them exchanged glances. Anger began to well up in their eyes, but they tried to restrain themselves in front of me. Jiang Qingyi, who had been silent, suddenly stepped forward, trying to find an explanation for me. Yanji, we just felt that Gu Jianan has no relatives in Haicheng, so we just lent a hand to look after him a bit. Enough. You don't need to explain anything more to me. My gaze now was as cold as a floating iceberg. Since the day Yuang and I officially got married, there has been no connection between me and you anymore. I have also made it clear that all ties between us have been completely severed. So please, never come to bother me again. Hearing this, they stood there in a daze. They seemed unable to believe that I could be so heartless. Movie star Jian Lan's eyes were filled with disappointment. Over a decade of affection bonding us together, and you say you can just let it go like that? I looked at them and just felt it was extremely ridiculous. Ever since you heartlessly hurt me over and over again because of Gu Jianan, the so-called deep affection between us has ended completely. The things you've done. Is it necessary for me to remind you once again? All four of them now had very unsightly expressions. The harsh and terrible words they once used on me just to protect Gu Jianan, deep in their hearts. They understood that very well. Jianmin was the first to speak up and admit fault. Yanji, it's all our fault. We were deceived by Gu Jianan. We couldn't see through his true face. Now we truly regret it immensely. Please give us another chance to make it up to you, okay? Second sister also used her gentlest tone to persuade. Yanji, clearly you still have feelings for us. You once wanted to protect my hands, so every day you had people ship from New Zealand cartons of pure fresh milk just for me to soak my hands in. Have you really forgotten all of that? Of course I haven't forgotten. In my previous life, I died by these very hands. And yet now, their owner dares to come and speak of feelings. How utterly ridiculous. Jian Qingyi also bowed her head. Yanji, if only you could forgive us, Nunaz. We'll do whatever you ask. They hounded me so much that my mind was in a whirl. The morning's good mood vanished like smoke. I felt a bit exhausted. Lin Yueying supported me from behind, holding my hand tightly. She looked at those people with a cold gaze. Yanji has made it very clear. He doesn't want to be bothered by you anymore. You should understand your own situation, where your current status actually comes from. Haicheng is not your territory. Before doing anything, you better know your place. With that, she snapped her fingers. A row of uniformed bodyguards appeared. Throw them out of the hospital. Don't let them show up in front of Yanji ever again. I nodded. Lin Yuang's will was my own. The four of them struggled desperately. Their eyes were wide and bloodshot. Yanji, do you really want to cut ties with your Nunas? Please give us one more chance. We can still go back to how things were before. I refused without a moment's hesitation. Impossible. We are finished. From now on, we go our separate ways. We have no relationship anymore. Yanji, over 10 years of affection. How can you be so heartless as to leave like this? You will regret today's decision. Lin Yuang waved her hand. The bodyguards dragged them outside. I will never regret it. I only feel lucky to have escaped them. After they left, the hallway became quiet once again. Lin Yuang took me into the clinic for an exam. We both sat on the long bench waiting for the results. Lin Yuang anxiously rubbed her fingertips. Her usually cold face now bore a slight frown from tension. I smoothed her eyebrows with my hand and teased her. Yesterday, when grandfather suggested the checkup, you looked so calm. Lin Yuang looked up at me. I was just pretending yesterday. The thought that we're about to have a child. I was both happy and excited in my heart. But I also feared a false hope would disappoint you, Oppa, so I didn't show it outwardly. I gently pinched her cheek, silly girl. Even if it hasn't happened this time, we'll still have plenty of chances in the future. Lin Yuang relaxed a bit after hearing that. Her gaze was filled with deep affection for me, and a hint of possessiveness. She lowered her voice and whispered in my ear, "You're right, there will be plenty of chances later." An hour later, the results were in. Lin Yueying gripped the test result tightly, confirming over and over that she was indeed pregnant. Her usually stern face suddenly brightened with a smile. A huge grin spread across her face. She hugged me happily. "Yanji, we're having a baby. I know. Now let go of me." Lin Yueying's voice echoed throughout the hallway. Passers-by took turns offering their congratulations. She had just set me down when her phone rang loudly. It was Mother calling. "Yueying, get to the Jian Group building quickly. Someone is causing trouble there. Yanji's grandfather is still there. Don't let him get agitated." After hanging up, Lin Yueying knit her brows tightly. A wave of unease suddenly surged in my heart. My eyelid kept twitching. I hurried to ask what was wrong. "Yueying, what happened?" "The Jian building. Someone is causing a scene there. I'll go over and check. I'll have someone take you home first. Just wait for me at home, okay?" Lin Yueying said as she prepared to call someone for me. I immediately stopped her. "Is grandfather there too?" She was silent for a moment, then nodded slightly. I said firmly, "I want to go with you. I'm worried something might happen to grandfather." Lin Yueying saw my determined look. Knowing she couldn't persuade me otherwise, she took my hand and advised, "Don't worry too much. You'll handle whatever happens when we get there. You must protect yourself well, okay?" I nodded in agreement. Don't worry, I'll protect myself and our little treasure as well. We both drove to the Jian Group headquarters. As soon as the car door opened, I saw Gu Jianan, the one who had just vanished from the hospital. He was standing right at the building's entrance, live streaming. A large crowd had gathered around him. Behind Gu Jianan hung a series of printed banners. Haicheng F4 conspire with young master Jian Yanji to insult. Bullying poor student Gu Jianan, he wailed pitifully before the camera, repeatedly denouncing the crimes of the five of us. Jian Yanji pretended to be kind by sponsoring me, but in reality, he wanted to trick me into coming over to serve as a sex slave for his four Nunas. The Haicheng F4 were actually all recruited by his grandfather from the orphanage to be his future wives. Simply put, they are child brides. Their private lives are incredibly chaotic, and they even use me as a shield. I'm just a poor student who worked so hard to leave the mountains. Yet he used the guise of sponsorship to lure me into the villa, imprisoning me for those four to torment. As he spoke, he exposed his scars to the lens. All of these were caused by the F4's bizarre fetishes inflicted upon me. They didn't dare use them on him, so they took it all out on me. Jian Yanji knew everything, but just stood by indifferently. The uninformed passers-by and the netizens in the livestream were all outraged. Could it be that I and the Haicheng elite? Hearing Gu Jianan's lies turning black into white, I was so angry that I clenched my fists. Lin Yueying anxiously held my shoulder. Yanji, leave everything to me. She was just about to move toward Gu Jianan when he beat her to it and struck first. Everyone, look! That person over there is Jian Yanji. He is that monstrous criminal. Instantly, all eyes from the crowd turned toward us. Some even wanted to rush forward and grab me. That person was immediately kicked away by Lin Yueying. Her face was already dignified, but now it became even more dark and terrifying. Let's see who dares. Yes, let's see who dares touch my grandson. Grandfather stepped out from the building, leading a team of guards to surround me. Gu Jianan pointed directly at grandfather. Everyone, look. This is the richest man in Haicheng. He's no good either. He was the one who arranged 4 fiancées for Jian Yanji. See how much he worries about his grandson's desires, that he had to go to such lengths? Gu Jianan? That's enough. I shouted right in Gu Jianan's face. He can insult me, but grandfather is my red line. Oh, is the young master getting flustered? Old man, if you feel those women are still not enough to satisfy your grandson, then why don't you do it yourself? The moment those foul words left Gu Jianan's mouth, grandfather immediately clutched his chest. Grandfather, I cried out in shock. The unease in my heart rose to its peak. In my past life, grandfather died of a sudden heart attack. I didn't care about what Gu Jianan was babbling anymore, and immediately called someone to take grandfather to the hospital. Only when the doctor confirmed he was out of danger was the weight in my heart temporarily lifted. Based on past experiences, grandfather's heart condition in the previous life must have been related to Gu Jianan as well. But this time, I will definitely not let him off. I logged into my personal Weibo account, listing full evidence of the sponsorship for Gu Jianan, from middle school all the way through university. Soon after, I received a message from Gu Jianan. Jian Yanji, don't think doing this washes away your sins. I'll make your family's reputation utterly ruined. Don't expect anyone to live in peace. Looking at the skeptical comments from netizens below the post, I wasn't worried at all. On the very first day of my rebirth, I secretly installed hidden cameras in the villa. Originally, it was to prove my own innocence, but later, out of disappointment, I never used them. Now, they finally have a chance to be used. I edited clips of Gu Jianan framing himself, using White Lotus tactics to vie for favor, even secretly burning sedative incense in the villa to seduce my 4 adopted Nunas, all compiled into one video. Then I posted it on Weibo. The search keywords immediately exploded. Netizens simultaneously flipped the public opinion. Good heavens, this news is truly shocking. It's ironclad evidence that cannot be denied. This is a real-life version of the farmer and the viper. Finally, I called the police. Gu Jianan was convicted of defamation. The 4 adopted Nunas were also jailed for illegal detention. The things I couldn't finish in my previous life have finally been achieved in this one. All the perpetrators have faced the punishment of the law. In this life, grandfather lives a healthy and long life. With Lin Yueying always by my side, I feel truly happy.